Okay. गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीवन, कैसे हैं आप लोग सब? बढ़िया। तो आज वी आर स्टार्टिंग अनदर बैच फॉर करंट अफेयर्स। दिस इज द लास्ट बैच फॉर 2024। तो 2024 में अब प्री कम मेंस के लिए कोई बैच नहीं आएगा, उसका स्लॉट अवेलेबल नहीं है। तो आई जस्ट टेक फर्स्ट 5 minutes टू एक्सप्लेन द वेरियस components ऑफ दिस बैच फॉर स्टूडेंट्स हु आर अटेंडिंग माई क्लासेस फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम। हमारा जो करंट अफेयर्स प्रोग्राम है विच इज स्टार्टिंग टुडे ऑन 4th of November, it would have 3 phases. We'll take classes here in 3 different phases for the next 2.5 months till mid-January. Our primary focus would be on mains examination. We'll be spending 10-15 minutes in every class for dealing with prelims facts, but primary focus would be on mains examination and the tests that you will have on the weekends. So every Sunday you will also have 2 tests, one objective test, one answer writing test. So till mid-January you will keep having the 2 tests. I'm talking about the batch which is starting today. June batch का system अलग चल रहा है, वो चलता रहेगा. Okay. Then from mid of January or so we'll be jumping on to the preliminary examination preparation. उसमें पूरा focus हमारा prelims पे रहेगा till April. And the tests that you'll have on Sundays will be only for preliminary examination. Our subjective tests would stop. And then after your preliminary examination for 2.5 months, we'll have complete focus on mains examination. उस phase में हम क्या करते हैं? We go through every section, every syllabus point of GS2 and GS3, and whatever is relevant, whatever needs to be done to complete everything that is required for GS2 and GS3, we do that. And our entire focus is on answer writing rather than on objective test. It's obvious कि हम prelims के बाद objective test नहीं ले रहे होंगे. Okay, so we take these classes in these 3 phases. We take the pre-com mains current affairs classes in these 3 phases. Now you may have some doubts कि sir, what happens to current affairs that have already happened, or what about current affairs that is 1 year old and still relevant for the examination? That's my responsibility. हम prelims वाले phase में आएंगे. We would, when we start, let's say, prelims preparation from mid of January, I would ensure that whatever is needed for your current affairs preparation, be it 6 months old, 1 year old, or even 5 years old, but is relevant for this year's examination, would be done. You will not have to worry about कि हमने current affairs program थोड़ा late शुरू किया है, so something would be missed. In the same way, while we'll try to cover as many things as possible over the next 2.5 months, फिर भी mains की कुछ चीजें रह जाएंगी. We would ensure that anything that is relevant, as I said, in the mains phase, when we start the 3rd phase of the program, we go syllabus wise. Syllabus का पहला bullet point, GS2 का पहला bullet point, दूसरा bullet point, and whatever is needed there, we do that. So any current affairs which may be 5 years old also, but is relevant for completing that particular topic, we would be doing it there. Okay, so don't worry. Now, for the November batch, though we are supposed to have 2 classes every week, Saturday, Sunday, for November batch, I may take some extra classes also over the next 2.5 months only, because कुछ चीजें आपको मैं चाहूंगा कि by January 15 आप जो जून वाला बैच है उससे थोड़ा सिंक में पहुंच पाओ. पूरा नहीं भी पहुंच पाओ कोई बात नहीं, दैट इज माय रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, वो मैं करूंगा, बट थोड़ा सिंक में आ पाओ. एंड दैट्स व्हाई आई ट्राई टू take a few extra classes also for you. Okay, now last thing, जो आपके टेस्ट होंगे, the tests that you'll have on the weekends, those tests will, one, consist of current affairs that we are covering in classes. Those tests would consist of that. But 2, it would also be covering some static portion. What the idea is, through these tests, because there will be both subjective test and objective test, through these tests you should be moving in the right direction towards your complete preparation for examination, and not only just the current affairs section. When I had started teaching, आज से 6-7 साल पहले जब मैंने पहली बार पढ़ाना शुरू किया था, तो initially I had very few students. अभी आपके बैच में eventually you will have more than 1,000 students, but I had 20-30 students, और मैं बहुत मेहनत से उन्हें पढ़ाता था और उन्हें डरा धमका के टेस्ट के लिए तैयार भी करवाता था. अभी आप में से बहुत सारे बच्चे बच जाते हैं, बट एट द एंड ऑफ ईयर, लाइक व्हेन एग्जाम वाज अप्रोचिंग, आई रियलाइज्ड कि उन लोगों ने करंट अफेयर्स तो बहुत सारा कर लिया है, बट स्टैटिक पोर्शन पे they were, because they were not writing tests every weekend, So they were weak on static portion. And from that year only, I decided कि while I'm teaching current affairs, in the test static portion should also be there to ensure कि जब आपको डांट के संडे के टेस्ट में अच्छा करने को बोला जा रहा है, आप स्टैटिक पोर्शन पे भी काम कर रहे होंगे, स्टैटिक पोर्शन पे भी फोकस्ड होंगे. ओके, तो द सिलेबस फॉर द टेस्ट वुड बी गिवन टू यू एवरी मंडे. नाउ द नेक्स्ट संडे दैट विल हैव that you are supposed to have test is Diwali. तो नेक्स्ट संडे को टेस्ट नहीं हो पाएगा. तो फॉर नवंबर बैच, फॉर 4th नवंबर बैच, द फर्स्ट टेस्ट वुड बी हेल्ड ऑन 19th ऑफ नवंबर. तो आपको 13th नवंबर को सिलेबस मिल जाएगा. सिलेबस प्राइमरली अभी व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू इज वी विल फोकस ऑन द करंट अफेयर्स एंड एंशिएंट मिडिवल एंड कल्चर. तो आप लोग आपके टेस्ट में क्या आएगा, जो नवंबर वाला बैच है, अभी करंट अफेयर्स के अलावा एंशिएंट मिडिवल कल्चर आएगा. तो आप अपना पढ़ना शुरू कर दीजिए. विल ट्राई टू एंश्योर कि वो 2 वीक में एंशिएंट मिडिवल कल्चर हो, उसके बाद हम मॉडर्न पे आए. ऐसे वी कंप्लीट दी स्टैटिक पोर्शन ऑफ द सिलेबस ऑल्सो थ्रू द टेस्ट. तो आप रेगुलरली टेस्ट के लिए प्रिपेयर करते रहिए. ओके, एनी डाउट्स, एनी कंसर्न्स, एनी डाउट्स, एनीवन, एनी इश्यूज, कुछ पूछना हो किस? Yes, तो there are some areas जिसमें ना, तो what I expect from you people, if you'll frankly ask me, you should know fundamentals of polity and fundamentals of economy. In GS2, GS3 आपको बाकी कुछ नहीं आता है, तब भी कोई बात नहीं. Our classes are very exhaustive. When we will be starting, let's say, prelims के लिए science and technology, I do not expect that people know science a lot. और people have studied science a lot. Moreover, जो GS foundation classes में जिस तरह से साइंस पढ़ाया जाता है, most of those that science is not relevant for the examination. So I'll cover science and technology, environment, disaster management, internal security, agriculture, क्या बचता है और गवर्नेंस, सोशल जस्टिस, ये सब जीरो से, मतलब पूरा covering every aspect of it. So what I expect that in GS2 and GS3, if you are part of this program, in GS2 and GS3, I'll not be able to cover Lakshmikant polity or DD Basu polity. वो फंडामेंटल्स आपको लक्ष्मीकांत डीडी बसु के आने चाहिए या डीडी बसु के आने चाहिए. ऐसे ही इकोनॉमी के बेसिक्स आने चाहिए. विल बी कवरिंग एवरीथिंग दैट इज देयर इन द मेंस एग्जामिनेशन सिलेबस. इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ, एम्प्लॉयमेंट, वो सब हम पढ़ेंगे, वो सब हम करेंगे डिटेल में. बट आई विल नॉट गो इनटू द डिटेल्स ऑफ व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन जीडीपी एंड जीएनपी, सीपीआई क्या होता है, डब्ल्यूपीआई क्या होता है ना. ये आपको खुद से फंडामेंटल्स आपको खुद से आने चाहिए. बाकी सारी चीजें हम करेंगे. तो कमिंग बैक टू योर डाउट कि yes, science and environment, these are two areas on which you will not need to refer to anything. जनरली मैं क्या बोलता हूं जो साइंस के लिए बच्चों को कि क्लास 9 और क्लास 10 की एनसीईआरटी एक बार खुद से रीड कर लीजिएगा. अदर देन दैट रीड करना है, उसे भी बहुत रटना नहीं है. उसका जो रेलेवेंट पोर्शन है, जैसे बायोलॉजी बिकम्स वेरी रेलेवेंट, आई कवर दैट सेक्शन ऑफ बायोलॉजी इन क्लास thoroughly. So other than that, you do not have to. For students who are part of current affairs program at LevelUp IAS, please do not buy any science book, please do not buy any environment book. आपकी कंप्लेन ये नहीं रहेगी कि सर साइंस या एनवायरनमेंट में हमने कम पढ़ा है. आपकी कंप्लेन रहेगी सर बहुत ज्यादा पढ़ लिया है. जनवरी में हम साइंस से शुरू करेंगे. इन द वेरी फर्स्ट क्लास यू विल गेट टू नो कि यू विल स्टडी वे मोर देन व्हाट इज देयर इन एनी बुक. यू विल स्टडी द मोस्ट अपडेटेड थिंग्स. आप देखोगे कि जो अभी भी चल रहा है सब कुछ डिटेल में आपको मिलेगा. तो साइंस एनवायरनमेंट के लिए please do not refer any book, please do not buy any book. You will get more content than in any book or any other current affairs material. Okay, and what's your name? Apur, are you satisfied? Okay, any other questions? Achha, there are some online students. Sir, please cover art and culture, ancient medieval also. पागल है क्या? GS2, GS3 है ना. अब हिस्ट्री पढ़ाने लगूंगा तो करंट अफेयर्स क्लास कैसे होगा? ओके, इज देयर ऑफ फॉर ओल्ड स्टूडेंट्स? हाँ, ओल्ड स्टूडेंट्स के लिए ऑफ होता है, बट अभी 23% ऑफ इज गोइंग ऑन फॉर एवरीवन फ्रॉम 1st ऑफ नवंबर टू 15th ऑफ नवंबर. देयर इज दिस, यू कैन यूज दिस कोड दिवाली 23 एंड ऑल ऑफ यू वुड बी, हमारे पोर्टल पे भी या वेबसाइट पे जाओगे तो ये कोड आपको मिल जाएगा. फ्रॉम 1st ऑफ नवंबर टू 15th ऑफ नवंबर you can get 23% off using this code. सर प्लीज आस्क लेवल अप आईएएस सपोर्ट टीम टू रिप्लाई, आई हैव मेल्ड देम रिगार्डिंग सब्सक्रिप्शन। अभी उन्होंने मैसेज देख लिया होगा, उनको बहुत डांट पड़ने वाली, उन्हें पता होगा। बाय द एंड ऑफ क्लास वो आपको रिप्लाई मिल जाएगा, डोंट वरी। ओके, तो एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस, एनीवन? नो, मैं पढ़ाना शुरू करूं? अच्छा, आपका कुछ एथिक्स और एसए का भी टेस्ट होगा। देखो, आपके टेस्ट में तो एथिक्स एसए भी आएंगे। जो तो बेसिकली क्या है ना, वीकेंड का टेस्ट वी ट्राई टू कीप इट इन सिंक विथ आर जीएस फाउंडेशन। तो वाइल करंट अफेयर्स का टेस्ट होता है, वी ऑल्सो कीप गिविंग यू स्टैटिक पोर्शन सो दैट आप उसके लिए भी प्रिपेयर करते रहिए। तो टेस्ट होंगे उसके भी, बट नवंबर बैच में हम फर्स्ट ट्राइंग टू इंश्योर कि वो फटाफट, जैसे एंशिएंट मिडिवल कल्चर 2 वीक में खत्म करें, उनका टेस्ट हो, फिर मॉडर्न इंडिया 2 वीक में खत्म करें, उसका टेस्ट हो, फिर पॉलिटी अराउंड 1 मंथ में खत्म करें उसका। तो हिस्ट्री, ज्योग्राफी, पॉलिटी, इकोनॉमी, 4 फंडामेंटल चीजें उनकी पहले कंप्लीट हो नवंबर बैच में, दैट इज द टारगेट। सर 2024 जून बैच ज्वाइन करने का कोई फायदा रादर देन नाउ? अब इफ यू ज्वाइन द जून बैच 1, ये क्लासेस तो आपको चलती रहेंगी, आप पुरानी वीडियोस देख सकते हो, देखने का मन हो, पर जरूरत नहीं है। इफ यू डोंट वॉच दोस वीडियोस, पीपल अननेसेसरली गेट पैनिक्ड कि 5 महीने के वीडियोस पेंडिंग है, एंड देन दे स्क्रू अप ऑल देयर प्लान्स, ऑल देयर स्टडी प्लान, वो करने के चक्कर में, एंड दैट इज व्हाई डोंट डू दैट। तो यू ज्वाइन नवंबर बैच, आपको मन है कि नहीं सर मुझे पुराने वीडियोस भी देखने हैं अभी, मैं आपको उन वीडियोस का एक्सेस दिलवा दूंगा, बट देयर इज नो पॉइंट ऑफ ज्वाइनिंग द जून बैच नाउ। So I'm a last year's environment module course for 2024. Should I refer same, not or updated? देखो, if you have been part of my science or environment module in the past, please understand, क्योंकि मैं static भी पढ़ाता हूँ उसमें, I cover everything. Around 70% of the things would remain same. क्योंकि environment में जब आप fundamentals basics भी पढ़ा रहे हो, science में जब आप fundamentals basics भी पढ़ा रहे हो, तो चीजें तो साथ रहेंगी, only the current things would change. So you can refer to the previous notes and update it with the current happenings. Okay, so should we start today's class? चलिए, तो let us first, तो we have some current affairs topic, जैसे अभी सेम सेक्स मैरिज पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट, आई विल टॉक अबाउट दैट। मराठा रिजर्वेशन पे प्रोटेस्ट चल रहे थे, विल टॉक अबाउट दैट। एमजी नरेगा के बारे में बात करेंगे। इन एग्रीकल्चर, इन साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी विल टॉक अबाउट सर्टन थिंग्स, बट फर्स्ट लेट्स स्टार्ट विद प्रीलिम्स फैक्ट्स। 4-5 प्रीलिम्स के फैक्ट्स हैं छोटे छोटे, but relevant for our examination. Let us quickly go through it. If you have seen the question paper of 2023, एक सवाल आया था कि कॉन्गो बेसिन में कौन कौन सी कंट्रीज हैं। This question was asked in the examination, right? Now, just like Congo basin, the Amazon river basin is one of the largest basins in the world, and is as important as the Congo river basin wala topic. Plus, this year what is happening? Amazon basin is facing its worst drought in last 122 years. मतलब 1901, 1902 में जो ड्रॉट आया था, उसके बाद अभी इट इज द वर्स्ट ड्रॉट, एंड इफ यू फॉलो डाउन टू अर्थ यू विल सी एवरी 2-3 days देयर इज एन आर्टिकल अबाउट द ड्रॉट इन अमेजॉन। तो न्यूज में भी है, अमेजॉन रिवर बेसिन वैसे भी इंपॉर्टेंट होता, तो वी शुड ब्रीफली स्टडी अबाउट द अमेजॉन रिवर एंड द मेंबर कंट्री बेसिन में कौन कौन सी कंट्रीज हैं, अबाउट दैट, सो दैट in prelims if they ask you, you will not be like guessing it, you will be like हाँ ये तो हमने पढ़ा हुआ है। तो अमेजॉन रिवर is considered the largest river in the world in terms of volume. ऐसे ही जब हम अमेजॉन रिवर बेसिन की बात करते हैं, कैचमेंट एरिया की बात करते हैं, that is also the largest. But when it comes to length of the river, Nile river is considered the largest. But यहाँ पे भी there is a small controversy. See, अब ऐसे समझो that let's say we consider the beginning of Amazon river to be here. Now there would be some other geographer who would come, no, it is not beginning here, it's beginning here, some other stream is flowing. So the difference between length of Nile river and Amazon river is so small that Brazilian government claims we are the longest. जो आप origin समझ रहे हो river का, that is not the origin is somewhere far behind. The difference between the Nile river and Amazon river in terms of length. In terms of volume, Amazon river is the largest river in the world. But in terms of length also, it is considered the second largest, Nile is considered the largest, but various geographers claim कि नहीं, अमेजोन इज द लार्जेस्ट वन। नाउ फर्स्ट, सेकेंड, एक तो ये वाली चीज हमें पता होनी चाहिए, इन टर्म्स ऑफ वॉल्यूम इट इज द लार्जेस्ट। नाउ you will understand the volume of this river by some other aspects of all the water that flows on the surface of earth। मतलब रिवर्स में स्ट्रीम्स में वाटर फ्लो कर रहा है, 20% of that water is in the Amazon basin of all the water that is flowing on earth। In fact, here we have so much water that the salinity of the ocean is impacted up to a length of around 160 kilometers। यहाँ पे salinity कम हो जाएगी, and that too up to a length of distance of 160 kilometers। It is that much amount of water that is going into the ocean there, that is going into the Atlantic Ocean from Amazon River। इससे ना scale समझो पहले, how important, how significant this water body is। Then लेंथ वाला एस्पेक्ट मैंने समझा है कि इट्स लेंथ इज रफली 6400 किलोमीटर्स, एंड दिस इज ऑल्सो द लेंथ ऑफ द नाइल रिवर, थोड़ा सा ज्यादा है, एंड देयरफॉर द डिस्प्यूट दैट कीप्स अकरिंग। द रिवर ओरिजिनेट्स इन द एंडीज माउंटेन, एंड कंट्रोवर्सी वाला एस्पेक्ट हमने देखा है ड्रेनेज बेसिन विच आर द कंट्रीज फ्रॉम विच वाटर फ्लोज इनटू द अमेज़न रिवर। So you would see, if you go to this map, that or if you have the all of you should also bring an atlas in the class। जब भी हम आप लेके आए हैं, तो for November batch students, whenever you come to the class, bring an atlas, so that जब भी हम ये mapping वाला portion कर रहे होंगे, you will always be able to open your atlas। So you will see that Peru is one country जहाँ पे river basin है, Brazil is another। पेरू ब्राजील तो है, इसके अलावा इक्वेडोर, कोलंबिया, वेनेजुएला, राइट, इधर बोलिविया, एंड देन स्मॉल पार्ट ऑफ गुयाना एंड सुरीनाम। These are the countries which are part of Amazon river basin। तो आप नॉर्थ में जाओगे तो गुयाना भी है, सुरीनाम भी थोड़ा सा है। What do you not have is French Guiana as part of Amazon river basin। Otherwise, all these countries, Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, and Brazil तो है ही। These are the countries which are part of Amazon river basin, right? जैसे Congo river basin पे क्वेश्चन आया, if it comes on Amazon river basin, you should not make it wrong। You should not feel like कि ये कौन याद रखेगा। This figure tells you that, and it's very easy। आप यहाँ पे बोलिविया के ऊपर सारी कंट्रीज ऐड कर दीजिए एक्सेप्ट फ्रेंच गुयाना। फ्रेंच गुयाना क्यों सिग्निफिकेंट है? इफ यू रिमेंबर, यूरोपियन स्पेस एजेंसी स्पेस लॉन्च पैड इज लोकेटेड हियर। व्हाई? बिकॉज वी वांट दैट स्पेस लॉन्च पैड शुड बी लोकेटेड नियर इक्वेटर। अब यूरोप ऊपर है तो उनके पास नियर इक्वेटर कोई प्लेस नहीं मिल रह जाता है, तो इट्स लोकेटेड हियर। ओके, बट इट्स नॉट पार्ट ऑफ द अमेज़न रिवर बेसिन। ओके, देन कुछ और इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें अबाउट अमेज़न दैट यू शुड बी अवेयर ऑफ। वन इज द रिवर डज नॉट बिल्ड डेल्टा। So does it mean that it doesn't carry sediments? No, it carries a lot of sediments। Like every day around 1.3 million tons of sediments are brought here। But the ocean currents, the coastal currents, take those sediments and deposit it in the northern part of Brazil and in this side of French Guiana। And therefore, this river, in spite of carrying the highest amount of sediments, does not form delta। You will not find delta on its mouth। And finally, the way we saw that because it carries so much water, it impacts the salinity up to a distance of 160 kilometers। In the same way, it carries so much water that it raises the sea level in the nearby region। In Caribbean region, around 1 to 2 centimeter sea level ज़्यादा होता है because of the water which is being carried by this river। These are all the significant aspects about the Amazon river which may be relevant for your preliminary examination। You must be knowing that। Okay, so do we get printed notes? Offline students get printed notes, Like आप सबके पास notes हैं आज के? The online students don't. Online students have to get the PDF printed. Even today's PDF is listed in the description. You can go to the description and download it from there. Offline students get the printed notes. Now come to the news. Amazon River के बारे में basic चीजें देख ली. The drought, the worst drought in last 122 years. What is the reason they are giving? They are giving two reasons. One, El Nino, and second, climate change, जिसकी वजह से इतना वेरिएशन आ रहा है. नाउ यू मे बी वंडरिंग, सर एल नीनो से तो साउथ अमेरिका में एक्स्ट्रा बारिश होती है ना. एल नीनो वाज for those of you who have studied geography, El Nino used to create problems on the side of India, but on South American side there used to be extra rainfall. That's true, but that's not true in the entire South America. तो जो अमेजॉन रिवर या नॉर्दर्न ब्राजील वाला रीजन है, in the years of El Nino it faces scarcity of water, and that is we are going through an El Nino year, and climate change has further impacted the variability or has led to variability in rainfall. That is the primary reason for severe drought that is occurring there. Did we get this? Now can someone give genuine review of these classes? Bhai dekho na, watch these classes and understand. Watch today's class, watch tomorrow's class and see. Okay, now impact of these droughts. एक तो wildfires, lots of cases of wildfires are happening. Because of this, air pollution has become a cause of concern there. First, second, you would see that biodiversity loss is happening. When we will go to environment, biodiversity and climate change, we'll talk about river dolphins in India. इंडिया में दो सबस्पीसीज हैं रिवर डॉल्फिन की, एक गैंजेस रिवर डॉल्फिन और एक इंडस रिवर डॉल्फिन. दुनिया में ना 4 ही इंपॉर्टेंट स्पीसीज हैं रिवर डॉल्फिन की, एंड वन ऑफ देम is the Amazon river dolphin, and recently only at least 100 Amazon river dolphins have died, whose status is also endangered. It's showing that because of this drought, biodiversity challenges are happening. In the same way, the region's caiman species. What are caiman? Caimans are alligators. The way we have crocodiles, ऐसे ही आप साउथ अमेरिका में जाओगे, you will find alligators. So there are various caiman species: the black caiman, spectacled caiman, Cuvier's caiman, and smooth-fronted caiman. They are facing challenges. Food shortages are occurring, and in fact, because of this, because there is food shortage, because इन जानवरों के रहने की जगह कम हो रही है, human-animal conflict or human-caiman conflicts are also going up because of the drought aspect in this area. Okay, so in the month of September and October, if you follow down to earth, you will see बार-बार इस पे आर्टिकल्स आ रहे हैं, is very relevant. एक तो चलो हमने फंडामेंटल समझ लिए हैं कि अमेजॉन रिवर क्या है और या अमेजॉन रिवर के ड्रॉट होने पे क्या क्या इंपैक्ट आ रहे हैं. सपोज समथिंग लाइक दिस गेट्स आस्क्ड इन द मेंस एग्जामिनेशन, तब भी बिकॉज यू हैव सीन दिस एग्जांपल, यू विल बी एबल टू राइट कि व्हाट आर द प्रॉब्लम्स व्हिच आर क्रिएटेड बाय ड्रॉट्स. ड्रॉट्स में क्रिएट ह्यूमन एनिमल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑल्सो, ड्रॉट में क्रिएट बायोडाइवर्सिटी लॉस ऑल्सो, ड्रॉट में क्रिएट फॉरेस्ट फायर ऑल्सो, राइट. these are some of the challenges that droughts may create. नाउ एक और छोटी सी चीज जो अभी न्यूज में थी नवंबर में, वो था chondrocytes producing hemoglobin. A recent study has found that chondrocytes also produce hemoglobin. Now you may be wondering, सर ये ना तो हमें chondrocyte पता है ना hemoglobin ज्यादा पता है. hemoglobin पता होगा. Okay, hemoglobin is what? Hemoglobin are proteins which are found in your red blood cells, and they carry oxygen from your lungs to other parts of your body and bring back CO2. Hemoglobin are responsible for that. So hemoglobin ये function RBCs का है, red blood cells का है. So hemoglobin should be found in red blood cells only, and this is what was known to us कि hemoglobins are found in red blood cells. But अभी recently some other part of our body has been found to have hemoglobin and some function of it that was in news. But before that, let us briefly hemoglobin के बारे में basic चीजें कि they are found in red blood cells, they carry oxygen from lungs to other body tissues, return carbon dioxide. These hemoglobins are made up of 4 protein molecules which are called globulin chains, and each globulin chain contain an iron containing compound called Heme. This iron is basically responsible for attaching oxygen and attaching carbon dioxide and carrying it. So तो hemoglobin में जो iron है और इसी की वजह से it also gets the red color or hemoglobin gives the red color of the blood. Normal hemoglobin level in adults are between 14 to 18 gram per deciliter. 1 deciliter is 1/10 of a liter. So in 1/10 of a liter, around 14 to 18 gram of hemoglobin would be found. Similarly, in case of females, it's 12 to 16 gram. So adult females have slightly lower normal hemoglobin level. Now, अब ये अपडेट क्या था, जो न्यूज था, हिंदू में एक न्यूज था कि this chondrocytes are also producing hemoglobin. So first of all, what are chondrocytes? These are cells that make cartilage. Now what are cartilages? Cartilages are connecting tissues to of bones. जब आपके bones, दो bones connect होते हैं, they are connected by cartilages. And who makes cartilages or what makes cartilages? These are chondrocytes. So what they have found, what the study has found, that chondrocytes are also producing hemoglobin. Now what is the function of hemoglobin in cartilage? Cartilage में hemoglobin भी है, basically they are saying that. So first it is there. Second, they experimented and found if they genetically modified chondrocyte and made it not produce hemoglobin, they realized that the animals on which this was being done, they died. तो इसका मतलब उस hemoglobin का कोई function है without which they are dying. They also found that these, so the question was, are these hemoglobin functional? Are these hemoglobin which are being produced by chondrocytes playing any role? So they found yes, in hypoxic condition, in less oxygen conditions, these components are able to function properly because they contain hemoglobin and that hemoglobin is able to bring them oxygen. So these are functional also. इसे और डिटेल में when we will study biology, there will go with every kind of tissue and ligament की बात करेंगे, बाकी सारी चीजों की बात करेंगे, but अभी के लिए chondrocytes also produce hemoglobin and they are what? They are functional, that is that hemoglobin is also playing a role in ensuring that in less oxygen condition they are able to survive, they are able to function. Now let's come to एक और छोटा सा चीज न्यूज में था, UNEP's चैंपियन ऑफ द अर्थ अवार्ड. तो पहले एक चीज जो हमें प्रीलिम्स के लिए ध्यान रखनी है इस टॉपिक में कि दिस अवार्ड इज गिवन बाय यूनाइटेड नेशन एनवायरनमेंट प्रोग्राम, UNEP. ये यूएन का प्रोग्राम है. चैंपियन ऑफ द अर्थ नाम से ही लग रहा है एनवायरमेंट रिलेटेड अवार्ड होना चाहिए. तो दिस इज एन एनुअल अवार्ड गिवन बाय यूनाइटेड नेशन एंड रिकॉग्नाइजेस आउटस्टैंडिंग फिगर्स फ्रॉम गवर्नमेंट, फ्रॉम सिविल सोसाइटी, फ्रॉम प्राइवेट सेक्टर who have contributed positively towards environment. Champion of the Earth Award is that. UNEP's Champion of the Earth Award is this. इस पे क्लैरिटी है. पहले what is UNEP's Champion of the Earth Award? है ना? It is recognizing people from government or private sector or NGOs or civil society who have contributed immensely towards environment. 2019 में this award went to Prime Minister Modi because he was someone who initiated International Solar Alliance. And is International Solar Alliance going to impact the environment positively? Yes. तो इतना पार्ट हमारे लिए रेलेवेंट है एग्जाम के लिए. चैंपियंस ऑफ द अर्थ अवार्ड कौन दे रहा है? UNEP दे रहा है. किसको दे रहा है? और टू पीपल हु हैव कंट्रीब्यूटेड और इंस्टीट्यूशंस आल्सो हु हैव कंट्रीब्यूटेड इमेंसली इन द प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट. 2019 में प्राइम मिनिस्टर मोदी को भी मिला था. अभी ये अवार्ड हैज गॉन टू 5 डिफरेंट, तो दिस अवार्ड इज गिवन इन डिफरेंट कैटेगरीज. जैसे पॉलिसी एंड लीडरशिप वाला कैटेगरी है, पीएम मोदी गॉट दिस अवार्ड इन दिस कैटेगरी. ऐसे ही साइंस एंड इनोवेशन वाला कैटेगरी है. एंटरप्रेन्योरियल विजन, सम एंटरप्रेन्योर बिकॉज ऑफ वेरियस एंटरप्रेन्योरियल एक्टिविटीज इज कंट्रीब्यूटिंग टू एनवायरमेंट प्रोटेक्शन. जैसे इस बार जिस एंटरप्रेन्योर को अवार्ड मिला है, दे हैव कंट्रीब्यूटेड अ लॉट इन रिसाइकलिंग ऑफ प्लास्टिक. इंस्पिरेशन एंड एक्शन, लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट, बहुत सारी कैटेगरीज में अवार्ड मिलते हैं. दिस ईयर द अवार्ड्स हैव बीन गिवन टू दिस जोसेफिना बेलमोंटे. जोसेफिना बेलमोंटे इज द मेयर ऑफ क्विजॉन सिटी इन द फिलीपींस. And as being while being mayor of Quezon City in Philippines, they contributed a lot in ending plastic pollution. and cleaning the city. तो policy और leadership वाले category में they got award, but who gets this award is not relevant unless किसी Indian को मिल रहा हो. हमारे एग्जाम के लिए that is not relevant. So I have included the list of institution and everyone who has got this award. You will be don't get confused by CSIR. CSIR India में भी है, but this CSIR is South Africa CSIR which has got the award. Okay, so we do not have to remember who have got this award. Just read them once. But what is this award? Why is this given? Who gives this award? And Prime Minister मोदी को 2019 में मिला था. अपने लिए ये relevant है, इतनी चीजें याद रखेंगे. Then एक recent study था. Because we are talking about prelims facts first. तो एक recent study है, which was about moths in Kerala. And 37 new species, उसमें से 3 तो completely new in India have been found where in Kerala as per this study. Now, first of all, we'll talk about what moths are. They look like butterfly, and in fact, they belong to the same order as butterfly. So, if you divide living organisms into categories, into kingdoms, so you will have Monera as a kingdom, Protista, fungi, plants and animals. So all the insects are also part of the animal kingdom. Animalia, जिसे हम बोलते हैं. Living organisms on earth can be divided into these kingdoms. Now Animalia can further be divided into various categories. जैसे kingdom is divided into phylum, phylum is divided into class, class is divided into order. तो जिस order को moth belong करते हैं, उसी order को कौन belong करते हैं? Butterfly. In fact, this order Lepidoptera में anything which is not butterfly are moths. So Lepidoptera only consists of butterflies and moths, and thus a lot of similarities may be visible. Now, why are scientists surveying moths? Because they play important, they provide important ecological services. And जब हम biodiversity समझ रहे हैं, biodiversity पढ़ रहे हैं, तो even their role should be understood. It should be understood. Are they facing any stress? Are they facing any challenges? Now, for some of you, you may have found this to be difficult. कि सर ये क्या बता दिया आपने? Though we have all studied this in class 9, but अभी ये classification हमें याद नहीं रहता है. But please do not worry, as I've told you, in January when we'll start science and technology, I'll even cover this part. We take around 2 hours in explaining all these aspects. Fine. So Monera, Protista, fungi, plant and Animalia. Animalia can be divided into vertebrates and invertebrates. Vertebrates are those animals who have backbone. These are advanced animals, जैसे human beings, mammals, fish, reptiles, amphibians. They will be in vertebrates. Then invertebrates में कौन होंगे? The more basic animals who does not have backbone yet. और उसमें insects भी आते हैं, arthropoda भी आते हैं. Arthropoda में insect आते हैं. तो Animalia, phylum Arthropoda, class Insecta. Or within insects, you will find lots of things. Even mosquito is insect, butterfly is insect, moth is insect, but butterfly and moth are related, so they are kept in the same order. फिर इनकी family होगी, genus होगा, species होगा. So you will have many species of butterfly in many genuses of butterfly, in many families of butterfly. ऐसे ही Lepidoptera के अंदर there would be many families of moths. Many species, many genus of moths, many species of moths. Now, ये तो हमें समझ में आया classification में where do moths lie. Now, significance of moths. They provide various ecological services. For example, they contribute to pollination. Now, butterfly are primary pollinators. Moths generally are pests. जैसे आज हम एक pink bollworm की बात करेंगे, which has destroyed the cotton plants in cotton production in northern India, northwestern India. They are also moths. So they are generally pests, but they are nocturnal, and the flowers that bloom at night they play a role in pollination there. They play a role in pollination there. So they are pollinators, not as big pollinators as butterflies, but they are pollinators. They contribute to nutrient cycling. They consume food, they produce waste, they get killed. उसमें nutrients add होते हैं and provide prey to birds and bats. Birds and bats consume a lot of these moths. So birds and bats के survival के लिए भी they are crucial, they are important, and thus they are also crucial. Now, in recent years, they have been facing problems. They have been facing problems because of something like pesticides. Farmers are using a lot of pesticides, so moth population may be going down. What has the study found? The study has found that there are. So it was doing the study in Kerala. There were many moth species which were already known. They found 37 new moth species in Kerala, which were not found in Kerala so far. Out of them, 3 are new species altogether, which were not known earlier. Zoological Survey of India, देखो जब एनिमल्स की कोई भी स्टडी होगी वो जूलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया कर रहा होगा, जब प्लांट्स का होता तो बोटेनिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया. तो जूलॉजिकल सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया साइंटिस्ट हैव डन दिस स्टडी. नाउ एक छोटा सा चीज और है, कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट मॉथ्स की जब हम बात करें तो अपन ने एक पिंक बॉलवर्म की बात करी. विल स्टडी अबाउट पिंक बॉलवर्म इन डिटेल, बट ब्रीफली द सिल्कवर्म मॉथ इज ऑल्सो अ मॉथ जो अपने इनिशियल स्टेजेस में, before it becomes moth, before it starts flying, it produces silkworm. And it is one of the moths which has become completely domesticated. You will not find them in wild. They are completely domesticated and they are used to produce silk. So moths का economic advantage भी है. They are pollinators, वहाँ पे economic advantage है. They also produce silk, वहाँ पे भी economic advantage है. Are we understanding this? Moths. तो prelims के लिए ये छोटा सा सेक्शन हमें पता होना चाहिए कि moths in the animal kingdom, where do they lie, what is their contribution, how are they related to butterflies, and some example of moths. Finally, I think the last thing that we want to study is a recently discovered mushroom species, Candolymysis albosquamosus. अब क्या करें, अब न्यूज में रहता है, रिसेंटली डिस्कवर्ड है, तो हमें पढ़ना तो होता है बस ये कि व्हाट इज दिस. इट इज अ मशरूम स्पीसी which has a honey yellow cap. You can see that the color of the cap here, honey yellow cap. Its habitat includes dead logs or bamboo cones, and it has been found in Western Ghats recently. If I bring you back here, Monera protista fungi plant animalia, where would this mushroom be located? Fungi, right? वो एनिमल या प्लांट नहीं है. And that's why this classification in future would be beneficial. This classification in future would be crucial. तो ये कुछ facts थे preliminary examination के जो पिछले 3-4 दिन में न्यूज में थे. तो I've tried to bring them here. ये आपके टेस्ट में भी ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस के फॉर्म में आ सकते हैं. जैसे अमेजॉन रिवर बेसिन में इनमें से कौन सी कंट्रीज नहीं है, यू मे गेट दिस काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन. यू मे बी, जैसे इन 2016 preliminary examination they had asked a new banana species have been found अभी recently with some characteristics. Where was it found? तो एक ऑप्शन वेस्टर्न घाट्स था, एक ऑप्शन अंडमान एंड निकोबार आइलैंड था, एक नॉर्थ ईस्ट था. ऐसे ही हम इस तरह से सवाल आ सकता है. न्यू मशरूम स्पीसीज विथ हनी कैप कलर, whose cap is honey colored, it has been found where. You should know कि वेस्टर्न घाट में मिला है. नाम याद रखने की जरूरत नहीं है, बट रिसेंटली डिस्कवर हुआ है. 1 मिनट लगा हमें पढ़ने में, बट if this kind of things get asked, we are getting prepared even for the worst thing that can happen. हम सबसे अच्छे से प्रिपेयर्ड रहेंगे. ओके, दीज वर प्रीलिम्स फैक्ट्स. नाउ विल गो टू GS2 एंड GS3 टॉपिक्स. सॉरी, में क्या आएगा? अच्छा, शी इज आस्किंग मोनेरा एंड प्रोटिस्टा में क्या आएगा. मोनेरा में जनरली प्रोकैरियोट्स आते हैं. प्रोकैरियोट्स लाइक यूनिसेल्युलर ऑर्गेनिजम्स हु डू नॉट हैव वेल डिफाइंड न्यूक्लियस एंड ऑल. तो दीज आर वेरी बेसिक ऑर्गेनिज्म. तो बहुत सारे बैक्टीरियाज वगैरह कहाँ आएंगे? मोनेरा में आएंगे. प्रोटिस्टा में protozoas, for example plasmodium that causes malaria, it will come in protista. Then जो ये वाला फंजाई होता है, फंजाई इज वेरी हॉचपॉच ग्रुप. जो मोनेरा प्रोटिस्टा एनिमल और प्लांट में फिक्स नहीं होता है, उन सबको फंजाई में डाल दिया जाता है. Then there is प्लांट किंगडम एल्गीज से लेकर यूनिसेलुलर एल्गीज से लेकर बड़े प्लांट्स तक, एंड एनिमल किंगडम, यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट. ओके, विल स्टडी. प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, ये हमारी साइंस की क्लास नहीं है, ये तो मैंने रेफरेंस के लिए यहाँ पे लिख दिया है. वी विल स्टडी दिस इन अ लॉट ऑफ डिटेल इन आवर साइंस क्लास. एज आई टोल्ड यू, फॉर साइंस एंड एनवायरमेंट you do not have to worry whether you know basics or not. We will cover the static portion also and current affairs also as part of this program. Now let's first cover GS3, फिर हम GS2 पे आते हैं. Okay, GS3 में one important issue that has been going on recently is the problems that farmers who are facing, the cotton farmers are facing. आप अगर again if you follow down to earth, you would see that there's a series of 8 articles which is talking about the key challenges, key issues that cotton farmers are facing in Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. But before we go there, एक तो प्रॉब्लम्स फेस कर रहे हैं, अपने सिलेबस में क्या है? अपने सिलेबस में क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न है. तो फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी शुड नो अबाउट कॉटन is its cropping pattern. वो कहाँ उगाया जाता है, what are the climatic conditions required, and India में how cotton is distributed, how much cotton is produced, what type of cotton is produced. First, we should know that, and then we'll jump on to what is the problem that is occurring. Okay, so tell me, one of the genetically modified crops that is grown in India? Cotton. BT cotton is one of the genetically modified crops that we have. In fact, though we are not studying science, but BT cotton के बारे में ये समझिए कि our cotton plant used to be affected by various moths. Moths are pests. We just spoke about moths. Used to be affected by moths and used to get destroyed by moth species. What scientists found? They found that there is this soil bacteria, BT, Bacillus thuringiensis. There is the soil bacteria BT. It produces certain toxins which can kill these moths. So one option was वो toxin produce करके as pest use करो इन पे, as pesticide use करो. But what scientists did? Scientists went to its DNA and they added ये जो toxins हैं इनके genes यहाँ. They added genes of the toxins here. So now this cotton had genes from BT also. BT is what? Bacteria. Oh, sorry, BT is soil bacteria, Bacillus thuringiensis. This cotton has genes of BT also and is called BT cotton. And this cotton plant produces those toxins which can kill these moths. And thus, it is one of the genetically modified crops that is grown in India and ensured that India, which was dependent on cotton import till 2001, has eventually become the largest producer of cotton in the world. ये again, this is science and technology. तो इसको हम और डिटेल में, when we'll go to biotechnology, we'll understand it in detail. But because we were jumping onto cotton, and most of the cotton that is grown in the country is BT cotton. You should know why we call it BT cotton, because there is this bacteria Bacillus thuringiensis. वो produce करता है कुछ toxin. So we said, why not उस toxin का जो gene है, take that gene and add it in the DNA of cotton, so that cotton plant itself starts producing that, and cotton plant can itself fight against the pest that is impacting it. So cotton is one of the principal commercial crops of India. The largest grown fibrous crop in India. India is the largest producer and consumer of cotton. Once we adopted BT cotton, you will see the production of cotton in India jumped from 10 million bales in 2001 to 34.3 million bales in 2022-23. Bales in India refer to is equivalent to around 170 kgs. Bales, one bale is equal to around 170 kg. तो अगर आप 34.3 मिलियन बेल्स बोल रहे हो तो 34.3 इंटू 170 kg मिलियंस और 170 मिलियंस kg. million kg. It will come out to be roughly, it is in kilograms, it will come out to be roughly 6 million tons. तो कई बार आप ये नंबर देखोगे कि इंडिया प्रोड्यूसेस 6 million tons of, tons is 1000 kg, 1 ton is 1000 kg, so India produces around 6 million tons of cotton or 34.3 million tons of million bales of cotton. You see the increase in production that has taken place between 2001 and the current scenario. Currently वो 30 से ऊपर है. Every year there may be some variation, but in term it's more than 30 million bales. India's production of cotton has increased drastically. First, now what is the suitable climatic condition in which cotton has to be grown? तो ना cotton के बारे में दो चीजें समझो. One, cotton does not grow properly in cold conditions. तो आप कभी ना cotton को cold conditions में grow करते नहीं देखोगे. तो जैसे in the northern part of India when it is grown, राजस्थान, पंजाब, हरियाणा में, तो it will be growing as खरीफ crop. सर्दियों में नहीं grow कर पाओगे. Whereas if you go to let's say तमिलनाडु, तमिलनाडु में सर्दियां नहीं होती हैं. So there you will be able to grow cotton both in Kharif season and Rabi season also, because the cold condition, the frost conditions are not there. Are we understanding this? Are we getting this? First part. Dusra, when they are flowering or when the cotton has been produced, तब ना बहुत बारिश नहीं होनी चाहिए. Obviously you can understand if there is a lot of rainfall, then the cotton may get destroyed. Right, these are the two conditions, two climatic conditions that we should be aware of. So first, cotton is grown in tropical and subtropical areas and require uniformly high temperature between 21 to 30 degrees Celsius. Low temperature frost conditions are not good for them. Climatic conditions which are required for them. Second, the crop has modest water requirement, not a lot of water requirement. So इसलिए 50 to 100 centimeter of rainfall is good enough, but good sunshine is must at the time of flowering, and moist weather or heavy rainfall at the time of ball opening or picking are detrimental to the crop. So when ball opening is taking place, when cotton is coming out, at that time if rainfall takes place, it would be damaged. At the same time, when the picking is taking place, when the final picking is taking place, there if rainfall occurs, then the cotton plant would be damaged. Then there is another requirement, cheap labor for picking up cotton balls. These are the important conditions. जहां पे conditions fulfill हो रही होंगी, cotton could be produced there. So traditionally, cotton was produced in lava plateau of Deccan, where black and therefore the lava से बना हुआ जो soil था उसे हम black cotton soil भी बोलते थे. Black soil को हम black cotton soil भी बोलते थे. But nowadays you will see that this production is confined in these regions: Southeast Punjab, Western Haryana, and Northern Rajasthan. आप नॉर्थ वेस्ट इंडिया में आओगे, दिस इज द प्लेस वेयर इट इज ग्रोन. इट मे नॉट हैव ब्लैक सॉइल, बट इट्स स्टिल ग्रोइंग देयर. देन गुजरात, महाराष्ट्र, नेबरिंग southern Rajasthan in western India, and Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. There must be a figure here. These are the three zones where it is grown. So if you are asked about cropping pattern of cotton in the examination, you should be drawing a map. अब exactly ये पूरा ना area आप नहीं बता पाओगे, but roughly you should be able to tell कि some area of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, then Gujarat, southern Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and some part of Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Haryana, Rajasthan, and Punjab. These are the three major areas where cotton is grown in India. तो अगर आप फिगर भी बनाते हो अपने आंसर में, while talking about every aspect of cotton production, you will definitely fetch slightly more marks. Okay, now total production. So as we started the topic with the aspect कि cotton के केस में what is happening. Cotton के केस में we have become the largest producer. So world's highest area under cotton cultivation is India. In India's total of the total sown area, 6% goes for cotton, and around 23% of the world cotton production happens in India. So globally, around 25 million tons of cotton is produced, 6 million ton of that is produced in India. And if we go to organic cotton like cotton which is produced with the help of non-chemical things, उसमें तो almost 50% production is happening in India only. And where in India? We know the 3 geographical regions. So coming back to, do we know the climatic conditions जहाँ पे cotton grow होगा? Do we know the geographical regions in India जहाँ पे cotton grow होगा? Do we know the amount of cotton that is grown in India? Now अगर cotton पे सवाल आता है, क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न पे आए, दूसरी चीजों पे आए, हाउ विल यू इंट्रोड्यूस योर आंसर? फॉर इंट्रोड्यूसिंग वी से आप 3 चीजें यूज कर सकते हो, डेफिनेशन, कॉन्टेक्स्ट, बैकग्राउंड या डेटा. डू यू हैव इनफ डेटा? है ना, कुछ नहीं तो इंडिया का मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट फाइब्रस क्रॉप. डू यू हैव इनफ डेटा? इंडिया इज द लार्जेस्ट प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ कॉटन, है ना. इस केस में वो कर सकते हैं, या एक ये फाइब्रस क्रॉप है उस वाली चीज से आप शुरू कर सकते हो, या यू कुड स्टार्ट विथ कि रिसेंटली कॉन्टेक्स्ट बताना हो तो रिसेंटली फार्मर्स इन नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न इंडिया आर फेसिंग ह्यूज चैलेंज. व्हाई? बिकॉज विल स्टडी अबाउट द रीजन बिकॉज ऑफ विच दे आर फेसिंग ह्यूज चैलेंज. बट क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न कॉटन का समझ में आया इंडिया में, जो बेसिक वाला पार्ट है. बिफोर वी जंप ऑन टू द करंट इशू, वी शुड हैव क्लैरिटी ऑन द बेसिक्स ऑफ द टॉपिक्स. नाउ in this year's budget 2023-24, government had announced an initiative. It called for a cluster-based and value chain approach to increase the production of cotton. Now, what is this cluster-based approach? Government was basically saying जो cotton producing regions है ना, वहां पे clusters develop होंगे where the cotton producers, industries, cotton use करने वाली बाकी, एक तो cotton use करके थ्रेड बनाने वाली इंडस्ट्रीज, कॉटन यूज करके उस थ्रेड को यूज करके बाकी चीजें बनाने वाली इंडस्ट्रीज, दे वुड ऑल बी लोकेटेड नियर बाय इन दैट क्लस्टर. एंड दीज प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स, दीज इंडस्ट्रीज would be helping farmers to grow cotton. Farmers would be helping these industries to get raw material easily. In this way, the government said by this mechanism, by this cluster-based approach, we will focus on improving the cotton production in the country. In this year's budget, it was announced. Now, there are 3 major types of cottons which are grown in India: long staple cotton, medium staple cotton, and short staple cotton. This long, medium, short basically refers to the fiber length of the fiber of the cotton. They say if it's between 24 to 27 millimeter, it is long. If it's less than 24, it is medium, and if it is less than 20, it is short. और length के साथ shining quality and all these aspects are also important. So India produces most of the cotton that we produce is this one, long staple cotton. The good quality cotton is something that we produce. Now let's come to PBW resistance to BT cotton. So as we were saying, when we started this cotton wala section, we spoke about the aspect that we converted our cotton to BT cotton by doing what? By bringing some genes from Bacillus thuringiensis bacteria, so that our cotton plant itself would be able to fight against various pests, various moths. ये scenario था, ये situation था, right? This is something. So we accepted BT cotton in 2001, and तब से हम BT cotton grow कर रहे हैं. So BT cotton में you would see we had encoded Cry1AC toxin. So Cry1AC is basically name of the gene which came from where? Bacillus thuringiensis. And later we also added Cry1AC gene to increase its potential to fight against the pest called American bollworm. So BT cotton had these 2 important genes. These 2 important genes were supposed to fight against these bollworms. Now, इसमें से एक pink bollworm है, which is becoming problematic. Why? Because pink bollworm has developed resistance against the toxins produced by BT cotton. Pink bollworm has developed resistance against the toxin produced by BT cotton. We'll understand कैसे develop हुआ, आते हैं उस पे, पर पहली चीज समझो, it has developed resistance, meaning now when this bollworm affects the cotton, what happens? Their toxin is not able to harm them. and thus cotton plants are getting destroyed. 2023 is the year where the situation in Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan is worse than 2001. 2001 से पहले they used to face a lot of challenges. This year, the challenge that they are facing is worse than that time because this pink bollworm has become so widespread. बहुत सारे farmers have lost more than 90% of their crops. Someone who's from हनुमानगढ़ region से कोई है? राजस्थान में हनुमानगढ़ रीजन या जस्ट अक्रॉस द बॉर्डर इन पंजाब, दैट इज द एरिया वेयर अ लॉट ऑफ कॉटन इज ग्रोन. एंड अभी रिसेंटली क्या हुआ है, हनुमानगढ़ डिस्ट्रिक्ट में इन द लास्ट 1 decade देयर वाज नो फार्मर सुसाइड. हुए होंगे तो दूसरे रीजन से, नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर, बट फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम वी सॉ दैट अगेन इन सितंबर. व्हाई? पिंक bollworm. Resistance developed by pink bollworm against the Bt toxins. Now, how was this resistance developed by PBW? What were the key factors कि resistance developed हुआ? There are 3 main reasons for it: early sowing, late sowing, longer duration of cotton varieties, and not planting other varieties against advice. So first, let's understand the issue of early sowing and late sowing. देखो, cotton ideally should be sown between April 15 to May 15. बट वॉट फार्मर स्टार्टेड डूइंग, अब देखो कॉटन के लिए आपको लेस बारिश वाला सनी टाइम चाहिए. मार्च में भी इंडिया में, नॉर्थ इंडिया में बारिश नहीं हो रही है, अप्रैल में भी बारिश नहीं हो रही है, तो दे प्रीपोन्ड इट अ बिट एंड दे आल्सो पोस्टपोन्ड इट अ बिट. So they were growing cotton. Some of the farmers were growing cotton in March also, and some of the farmers were sowing cotton in March also, and some were doing it till June. So rather than doing it in that ideal period, they were doing it here also and here also. You will say, sir, what is the problem? The problem is, जो moth होता है ना, वो सर्दियों में dormant हो जाता है. It gets up from its dormancy somewhere in March. Now, when you preponed the cotton plantation there, it got food. It could multiply. It could grow easily. जो earlier it would not have been able to grow. And then, because you have postponed some of the plantation, some of the croppings, it was able to get food for longer period. That became a cause of concern. Why preponing as well as postponing this became a factor, became an issue. Do we understand this? Do we all understand? Now, second, South India में longer duration of cotton varieties were grown. Longer duration cotton varieties मतलब cotton varieties which need much longer period for maturity, because they were producing more cotton. But then what is the problem? इससे resistance कैसे develop होगा? क्या होता है when a plant is of longer duration, when its life is longer? In that case, towards the end of life, the toxin that is getting produced is much lesser in quantity. अब देखो, आपको कोई एंटीबायोटिक लेना है to kill the bacteria. If you reduce the quantity of that antibiotic to very small level, the bacteria will not be killed, and उस बैक्टीरिया को थोड़ा वो एंटीबायोटिक मिलता रहेगा, bacteria will develop resistance against it. Something like that happened to pink bollworm also. Because of this long duration crop, towards the end of the life cycle of this crop, what was happening was the amount of toxin that was being produced was very less. So pink bollworm को toxin तो मिल रहा था, but in very less quantity, so it was not getting killed. While it was getting that toxin, so it was slowly developing resistance against it. And then finally, this is again fault of farmers. यहाँ पे क्या उन्होंने गड़बड़ करी? Farmers were suggested that you grow BT cotton along with other varieties. But as BT cotton was giving more production, more output, farmers completely switched to BT cotton, ignoring all other varieties. If other varieties were there, BT cotton was also there, then BT cotton was fighting or was producing toxin, other varieties were not producing toxin. ये situation रहता. So developing of resistance, if you have studied antibiotic resistance, development of resistance takes place when you overconsume something. When you overconsume antibiotic, so the bacteria develop resistance against it. So farmers were told earlier only कि you mix up things. You grow different varieties of cotton rather than just depending on one particular variety. Here, they ended up depending on one particular variety. These were the core reasons because of which what developed? The resistance. Pink bollworm were able to, PBW were able to develop resistance against the BT toxins. Okay, now in October, आप न्यूज देखेंगे क्या है? Cotton crops across the North Indian states, Punjab, Haryana, and Rajasthan are reporting a severe pink bollworm attack. Even BT cotton is falling prey to it. Impact क्या हुआ है? Damage to crops. So damage in 2023 is the highest since 2001. इतना cotton damage कभी नहीं हो रहा था. So before 2001, the American bollworm created problem. Now the pink bollworm is creating problem. Then it's also becoming difficult to find laborers. Why would it be difficult to find laborers? आप laborers को कैसे पैसा देते हो? Per quintal of cotton that they pick. Now, if in the field 50% of the cotton is destroyed or 80% of the cotton is destroyed, laborers will have to work in much larger area to pick up that much cotton. तो उनको ना output उतना नहीं मिलता है. So when the field is destroyed by pink bollworm, they do not prefer to work in that field. Farmers are trying to pay them double, but still laborers say we are not interested because the profit that will make out of it is very less. So production is going down. They are not able to find laborers. As we said, one of the core inputs that is needed for cotton is sunshine, rainfall. ये सब तो था ही. एक और चीज क्या थी? Cheap laborers that they are not able to get. Then they also find it difficult to find buyers. अब पिंक बॉलवर्म के केस में होता क्या है ना, पिंक बॉलवर्म अपना एग ले करता है एंड उस एग से जो बच्चा निकलेगा इट एंटर्स द कॉटन बॉल, goes to the seed. In the process it damages that cotton, it discolors that cotton, it provides some coloration to it and that is not acceptable in the market. Market में आपको whitish cotton चाहिए होगा. Any kind of coloration is not bought by traders. Farmers are also facing this issue. They are difficult to find. It is difficult for them to find traders. First case of suicide has already happened. This farmer was losing his cotton crop since last 3 years. Pink bollworm was the primary reason. Last year बहुत बारिश होना भी एक factor बन गया था. But this farmer had been losing crop. He had grown crop in more than 15 acres of land, cotton. He ended up committing suicide. Down to earth analysis says that this was the first suicide, but the conditions are so bad that this may increase, this may go up. And finally, farmers are moving away from cotton cultivation. They say production of cotton in Punjab has almost halved in the past decade because of this pink bollworm attack. These are the implications, these are the impact that one moth is able to have, one species of moth is able to have. Now you will understand कि क्यों Zoological Survey of India में scientists moths को भी पढ़ रहे हैं, moths का भी distribution पढ़ रहे हैं. One species of moth is able to have this kind of problem. Cotton production कम कर दे रहा है, cotton quality खराब कर दे रहा है. Farmers are ending up committing suicide. They're moving to different crops. Right? So what should be done? What is the way forward here? There are two key aspects that Down to Earth talks about. One, it says that there is an integrated a crop window based integrated pest management mechanism. What is this crop window based integrated pest management mechanism? पहले तो ना यार, do not prepone your crops. Pest would have been managed if there was no crop available at that time in the initial phase. तो आपका क्रॉप विंडो लिमिटेड रखो, उससे पेस्ट मैनेजमेंट इफेक्टिवली हो सकता है. देन प्रॉपर मॉनिटरिंग so that in the early stages only you will be able to determine pink bollworm's existence and then using pesticides and all for them. Second thing that they are suggesting is PB0 or PB ropel technology. This is something that has been used in US and other developed countries and has been pretty successful. What is this PB0 or PB ropel technology which is being tested in India? In this technology, we use a 20 centimeter polythene hollow rope मतलब ऐसे समझो बहुत पतला पॉलिथीन का पाइप होता है, वी फिल दैट विथ फेरोमोन gossifleur. Pheromone gossifleur. Now what is this pheromone? This pheromone is produced by female moth. अब हम इस ट्यूब में ये फेरोमोन फिल करके इसे खेतों के चारों तरफ या बीच में कहीं कहीं लगा देंगे। तो मॉथ्स rather than getting attracted to the females will get diverted to these places. They'll not be able to meet the females. They'll not be able to reproduce. Their population would go down drastically. This has happened in other countries. India is also experimenting with that, and this is something that we can promote, that we can work upon. This will be able to solve a lot of issues, a lot of problems. एक integrated pest management is something that we have to work upon. दूसरा, this third is further genetically modified crops with more toxin which can even kill pink bollworm. But again, we cannot keep doing that. Why? Because that's not sustainable. आप excess use किसी भी चीज का करोगे तो resistance develop होगा. So what is important is, while you have BT cotton kind of crop, you should not completely rely on that. You should use a mix of things. You should grow different varieties of crop. You should ensure different aspects are taken into consideration कि एक particular time period में grow कर रहे हो, different varieties of crop grow कर रहे हो, and then you are using this pheromone based mechanism solutions rather than creating altogether new crops and then again facing this problem 10 years down the line. Because अभी it has emerged as a huge issue. आज से 5 साल पहले भी जब मैं बीटी कॉटन पढ़ाता था, एक क्रिटिसिज्म उसका आता था कि pink bollworm has developed resistance against it and it may become highly problematic in future. And 5 साल बाद मैं खुद देख रहा हूं कि farmers are ending up committing suicide. Crop production in Punjab or cotton production in Punjab has halved in last decade, indicating the impact that it has had. Okay, so if you are asked a question related to this cotton, general cropping pattern based topic आएगा, you should be able to answer that. If the question is about the recent challenge that it is facing, why the challenge, because of which species of which species of moth, you should be able to talk about why the resistance was developed, how will we deal with that resistance, or what are the mechanisms to deal with that resistance. Will we be able to answer all these things? Sure, सब लोगों को क्लियर है? ओके, सॉरी,
from the point of view of farmer, what is more beneficial, more productivity or less? I mean, more growth or less? Supply ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए.
हाँ, मुझे ट्रिकी क्वेश्चन में फंसा रहे हो, फिर बोलोगे सर सप्लाई ज्यादा होगा तो रेट सस्ता हो जाएगा, है ना? नहीं, देखो, there are certain things, please understand, there are certain things like fruits and vegetables which cannot be stored for long. उसमें ना अगर ओवर प्रोडक्शन हो जाता है तो फार्मर्स डोंट गेट द राइट प्राइस, जैसे टमाटर फेंकने पड़ते हैं. बट थिंग्स विच कैन बी स्टोर्ड फॉर लॉन्गर पीरियड, आप कॉटन का कॉटन टेक्सटाइल बना के रख लो ना बहुत लंबे, तो यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं होगा कि प्राइस बहुत ज्यादा गिर जाते हैं बिकॉज ऑफ ओवर प्रोडक्शन. इतना नहीं होता, यहाँ पे भी हो सकता है, बट व्हेन इट कम्स टू विच काइंड ऑफ क्रॉप्स, perishable, there that problem occurs. Okay, now let's go to the, is this clear to all of you? Yes. As far as the states in which cotton are grown is concerned, हाँ, देखो, क्योंकि तमिलनाडु में ग्रो हो रहा है, थोड़ा बहुत हल्का सा केरला में भी होगा. हाँ, you should consider that. Yes. Let's come to CAR T cell therapy. अभी recently एक इंडिया का indigenously developed mechanism has been approved, and that is why it was in news. But before we go into that indigenously developed mechanism, let us briefly understand what is the problem that we are trying to solve. The problem is that of cancer. What is cancer? Cancer is जब uncontrolled growth of cells हो जाते हैं. That is cancer. Now, traditionally, to treat cancer, we have a mechanism like surgery where जो section uncontrollably grow हो रहा है उसे काट के अलग कर दिया जाता है, right? That is one mechanism available. Other mechanism that is available is radiotherapy. What is radiotherapy? यहाँ पे radiations दिए जाएंगे. Radiations can be given from outside the body. It can be given from inside the body by placing the radioactive material or radiating material near the cancerous region. But इसके अपने limitations होते हैं. What is the limitation? When a radiation is going from outside the body, it also impacts other healthy cells. Same is the case even when it's placed in the cancerous region. Some negative impact on other cells would be there while we are fighting cancer. Then there are other methods called the systematic therapies. In systematic therapies, we include things like chemotherapy. Chemotherapy में chemical treatment और medicines are being provided जो chemically harmful होते हैं, वो उन cells के लिए भी, cancerous cell के लिए भी harmful होते हैं, बाकियों को भी थोड़ा negatively impact कर सकते हैं. Then another treatment mechanism is called targeted agents or immunotherapy mechanism. In immunotherapy, what we try to do is we try to target or we try to make our immune system target cancer cells specifically. उसी में प्रोग्रेस करते हुए we have CAR-T cell therapy mechanism. What is CAR-T cell therapy mechanism? मैं पहले बहुत before I go through the notes, I'll in very short try to explain. देखो, let's say there is this dude जिसको थोड़ा कैंसर हो रहा है. A lot of uncontrolled cells are growing in some region. Now your own immune system is not able to fight against it. है ना? Your own immune system is not able to fight against it. What we do in CAR-T cell therapy is that we first take out some T cells, which is part of your immune system. It is supposed to fight the excessively growing, or it is supposed to fight the harmful substances which enter your body and this excessively growing cells in your body, the cancerous cells in your body. हम पहले इस T cell को बाहर निकालते हैं. तो if you'll go to CAR-T cell therapy, अगर आपको कैंसर है और आप CAR-T cell therapy के लिए जा रहे हो, तो first what is done to you? First these T cells are taken out from your body. Then these T cells are modified. कैसे मॉडिफाई होते हैं? जो ये कैंसर सेल्स हैं, दिस कैंसर सेल्स में हैव सम पर्टिकुलर काइंड ऑफ प्रोटीन. अब ये कोरोना पे ऐसा प्रोटीन होता है, बट दिस कैंसर सेल्स में हैव सम पर्टिकुलर काइंड ऑफ प्रोटीन. हाउ दिस टी सेल्स आर मॉडिफाइड? दिस टी सेल्स आर मॉडिफाइड सच दैट they will be producing an antigen which can get attached to antibody, which can get attached to this. They'll basically be producing a protein which can get attached to this protein, not anything else. Only जो कैंसर सेल के ऊपर जो प्रोटीन्स हैं उसको अटैक कर पाए, उस पे अटैच हो पाए. तो we took out T cells. Our T cells were not fighting against cancer cells. We took out those T cells. We genetically modified them so that they are able to specifically target them, and we also modified them so that they are easily able to multiply. Now 10-15 दिन बाद you will be called back. आ जाओ वापस. And these modified T cells, which can now attack your cancer cells and can also multiply quickly, is put back in your body. These T cells go in your body, multiply quickly, and can attack cancer cells, treat your cancer. Will they damage anything else? No, because they have been specifically designed for what? To target those cancer cells. This is CAR-T cell therapy. सिंपल है, ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट नहीं. अभी हम नोट्स में जाएंगे, सीक्वेंशियली सारी चीजें समझेंगे, बट दिस इज द होल आइडिया. वंस यू हैव a picture, understanding notes and everything would become very easy. Take out T cells, modify them so that they can specifically target those cancer cells, modify them so that they can multiply quickly, put it back in your body. This is a very expensive procedure. आप यूएस में जाके कराओगे 4 करोड़ रुपए लगेंगे। हाँ, इंडिया में जो मैकेनिज्म डेवलप हुआ है, दे आर सेइंग इट वुड कॉस्ट 30 to 40 लाख रुपीस, which they are saying कि they will further improve it to reduce it to up to 10 lakh rupees. But understand this, 3-4 करोड़ रुपए से 30-40 lakh is very less, है ना? We'll talk about India में जो develop हुआ. But first, did we all understand CAR T cell therapy? Okay, let's go through the notes once so that we don't miss anything. It's a revolutionary therapy that modifies immune cells, specifically T cells, by turning them into potent cancer fighters known as CAR T cells. So they converted T cells into CAR T cells, which are fighting against the cancer. In CAR T cell therapy, patient's blood is drawn to harvest T cells. पहले आपका blood निकाला जाएगा so that T cells can be taken out of it. Researchers modify these cells in the laboratory so that they express specific protein on their surface known as chimeric antigen receptors. So CAR, where is the term CAR coming from? Chimeric antigen receptors. So these receptors would have affinity for protein on the surface of cancer cells. These receptors would have affinity for protein on the surface of cancer cells. These modified cells are then infused back into the patient's bloodstream after conditioning them to multiply more effectively. तो एक तो T cell को हमने CAR T cell बना दिया, plus we also modified them to multiply faster, more effectively. The cells are even more specific than targeted agents and directly activate the patient's immune system against the cancer mechanisms, making the treatment more chemically effective. This is why more clinically effective. This is why they are also called living drugs. These are living cells which are going in your body and are fighting cancer, and thus they are called living drugs. So what are the advantages? They are very accurate. They will not harm other parts of your body. That's one thing. Second, treatment is easier as it's one-time therapy. आप chemotherapy के लिए जाओगे, there would be multiple sessions and there would be lots of other damages in your body. आप radiation therapy के लिए जाओगे, there would be multiple sessions. But यहाँ पे एक बार आपको बुलाया गया, आपका blood sample लिया गया. दूसरी बार बुलाया गया, आपके CAR T cells, your T cells were converted into CAR T cells in the lab and they were put back in your body. That's it. That will give you lifetime of protection against that particular cancer. Then it can also fight non-responsive cancer patients, like those cancer patients जिसपे कोई और mechanism is not responding. And finally, it will give you a cure and provide long-term benefit, lifelong benefits. There is no chance of the cancer coming back again. These are the advantages of CAR T cell therapy. अब आते हैं what is happening in India. India में very recently, in October 2023, Central Drug Standard Control Organization (CDSCO) granted market authorization for NexCAR19. NexCAR19 is a therapy mechanism developed by ImmunoAct. ImmunoAct is the name of the company which has developed India's first indigenously developed CAR T cell therapy, NexCAR19. This company, ImmunoAct, was first started in IIT Bombay. अब ये IIT, like they're working, they were incubated in IIT Bombay. This company was incubated in IIT Bombay, and they're working with Tata Memorial Hospital to, and they have developed this mechanism. This is the first mechanism which has been, the first indigenous mechanism that has been approved for market authorization by Central Drug Standard Control Organization. Now, what is meant by market authorization? Market authorization, that it can now go to market. So it is now ready for commercial launch. They'll have to get various other licenses. अभी आपको market में available नहीं है, but it has got authorization. It is approved for market launch. After some more license and everything, it would be available there. Now, what is it designed to do? Will it be able to fight every kind of cancer? So no, it is specifically focused on cells that carry the CD19 protein, or cancer cells that carry the CD19 protein. This protein acts like a flag on cancer cells, which allows CAR T cells to recognize and attach themselves to cancer cell and start process of elimination. So who can get NexCAR therapy? People who are suffering from B cell lymphomas. they are the ones, B cell lymphomas, जो कैंसर होता है, there on the surface you have CD19 protein, and this CAR-T mechanism is focused on CD19 protein, so they can get this treatment. B cell leukemia is most common among children, so are children's allowed to get this treatment? Right now, जो approval हुआ है, that is for above 15 people. So children cannot get it, but they are testing it. So in future, they may get approval for this also. So what is the significance of the new mechanism, the new indigenous mechanism that has come into play? India is among the very few developing countries who have this, who have developed their own indigenous CAR-T cell therapy mechanism. Even many developed countries import it from other countries. First. Second, this reduces the cost of treatment to 1/10. आप किसी और कंट्री में जाके ट्रीटमेंट कराते, it would have cost somewhere between 3 to 4 crore rupees. In India, it would cost 30 to 40 lakh rupees, which they are saying they'll further reduce it. They'll try to reduce it up to 10 lakh rupees. Then, lab and animal studies have shown that this mechanism, next CAR-19, India's indigenously developed CAR-T cell therapy mechanism, has lesser side effects than other CAR-T cell therapy mechanisms. Now, what kind of side effects are we talking about? Do you remember cytokine storm syndrome? COVID के time, a lot of people were facing challenges because of this, because of something called CSS or cytokine storm syndrome. अब देखो cytokine क्या होता है? Cytokine activates your immune system. Cytokine in a way activates your immune system, tells your immune system to fight. Now, when your immune system is strong, जैसे elderlies में their immune system is strong, and when the virus has infected you, a lot more cytokine may get produced, so that your immune system has started attacking your own body. This is called cytokine storm. जब आपने immune system, because of lots of production of cytokine, your immune system would be activated too much, and it will start affecting your own body. The elderly whose immune system is strong were facing more challenges during COVID-19 because of cytokine storm syndrome. Now, ये देखो, अब आप CAR-T cell therapy mechanism develop कर रहे हो, तो here what would happen? T cells are your immune system only, है ना? कैंसर सेल से वो लड़ रहे होंगे, तो cytokine may get produced. Cytokine storm syndrome like scenario may occur. But what scientists have found in labs and in animal studies, that the chances of that happening in the indigenously developed therapy is lesser than the chances of that happening in other therapies which are available. Similarly, minimal damages to neurons and central nervous system may occur. So in the other therapies which are available, there is some neurotoxicity that may occur. Neurotoxicity, like your nervous system may get some toxin and all. Chances of that happening is also lesser using our own indigenously developed mechanism. So because of these reasons, we are saying that this is a huge step ahead in our fight against cancer. In future, as its cost reduce, we will see that cancer, which has become, like on many occasions, cancer become untreatable, CAR-T cell therapy mechanism would be able to solve it, and इसके अपने implications होंगे. India is famous for being an important destination for medical tourism, right? अगर CAR-T cell therapy दुनिया से 1/10 cost पे या 1/20th cost पे हम कर रहे होंगे, more medical tourism, so business, not only the health sector will improve, but business would also go up, business would also improve, tourism would also go up. Are we understanding this? को CAR-T cell therapy और एक अपन ने cotton वाला issue पढ़ा in GS3. Let's now go to GS2. GS2 में we will be starting with homosexuality. और homosexuality की बजाय we will not go into the details of homosexuality. We will primarily be talking about the Supreme Court verdict. Will be analyzing the Supreme Court verdict. लव कोई क्वेश्चन है क्या? बोलिए. नहीं नहीं, हाँ नहीं 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 नहीं, वहां से आपका टी सेल ले रहे हैं, बाकी आपको कैंसर कौन से टाइप का वो तो पता है ऑलरेडी। हाँ वो कैंसर सेल्स, हाँ वो तो पहले से आपको कैंसर है ये पता है। अब उसको ट्रीट करने के लिए, हाँ वी आर ट्राइंग टू bring some changes in your immune system. Your T cells which are supposed to fight those cancer cells, those T cells are being modified to get activated effectively against those cancer cells. Okay. यार इतनी टेक्निकल डिटेल्स मुझे भी नहीं पता है, आई एम नॉट अ डॉक्टर कि उसके और कॉम्प्लिकेशंस क्या होंगे, जितने अपन साइंस में न्यूज में पढ़ते हैं वही पता है। ओके okay. नहीं नहीं देखो, ऐसा बोला गया कि जब दूसरे मैकेनिज्म्स फेल हो गए ना तब इट वुड कम इन टू प्ले। तो कीमोथेरेपी वगैरह इफेक्टिव, कीमोथेरेपी से प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं हो रहा है तब दिस वुड कम, बिकॉज इट्स हाईली एक्सपेंसिव आल्सो, अंडरस्टैंड दिस। ओके, तो व्हेन अदर थिंग्स आर फेल्ड विल यूज दिस मैकेनिज्म, कार्टी सेल थेरेपी मैकेनिज्म। नाउ चलिए पहले बिफोर वी गो इनटू द सुप्रीम कोर्ट जजमेंट, होमोसेक्सुअलिटी, तो वी नो what is the judgment which made homosexuality decriminalized in India? जजमेंट का नाम क्या है? नवतेज सिंह जौहर जजमेंट, याद रखना है। 2018 में सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन द लैंडमार्क जजमेंट इन नवतेज सिंह जौहर केस decriminalized homosexuality, and it also said कि all the constitutional rights which are available to any other citizens should also be available to homosexuals. So now homosexuality was no more a crime. Homosexual couples could live together. Various high court judgments have also come which has directed governments to protect homosexual couples. They should not be facing any problem when they are living together. Parents should not be pressurizing them when they are living together and so on. So now the next step was to ensure equality for homosexual. The next step was ensuring them the right to get married. अब वो साथ में रहना अलाउड है, होमोसेक्सुअलिटी अलाउड है, साथ में रहना अलाउड है, तो जब वो साथ में रह रहे हैं तो वो एक एग्रीमेंट के अंदर रह पाए। व्हाट इज मैरिज? इट्स अ सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट where two parties come together, promise to do certain things together, सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट है। तो जब होमोसेक्सुअल्स भी रह रहे हैं, उन्होंने कहा कि टू एंश्योर इक्वालिटी वी शुड बी, आवर मैरिज शुड ऑल्सो बी रिकॉग्नाइज्ड इन इंडियाज पर्सनल लॉज एज वेल एज इन द स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट। देयर इज नो प्रोविजन फॉर रिकॉग्निशन ऑफ मैरिज ऑफ होमोसेक्सुअल पीपल। तो कल दो होमोसेक्सुअल्स मंदिर में जाके शादी कर लेते हैं और कोई पंडित उनकी शादी करा भी देता है, या कोई चर्च में जाके शादी कर लेते हैं और कोई प्रीस्ट वहां पे उनकी शादी करा भी देता है, बट दे कैन नॉट गेट इट रजिस्टर्ड, बिकॉज इन ऑर्डर टू गेट इट रजिस्टर्ड आप हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट के अंदर जाके रजिस्टर करोगे, आप स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट के अंदर जाके रजिस्टर करोगे वो, एंड दोज एक्ट्स डू नॉट रिकॉग्नाइज these marriages. In fact, the priestly class also is not ready to do what? Do the ceremonies. अभी एक एग्जाम्पल था कि किसी गुरुद्वारे में दो गे लोगों की शादी हो गई थी, तो वहां पे उनके अगेंस्ट एक्शन हो गया था, तो लीगल रिकॉग्निशन अवेलेबल नहीं है। तो what was the homosexual community demanding? It was saying that Special Marriage Act, which provides for civil marriage for couples who can't marry under the personal law. जैसे एक हिंदू को मुस्लिम से शादी करनी है, वो हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट के अंदर या दूसरे पर्सनल लॉज के अंदर शादी नहीं कर सकते, वो स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट के अंदर शादी कर सकते हैं। तो दिस एक्ट शुड बी इंटरप्रेटेड एज जेंडर न्यूट्रल। दिस इज व्हाट दे वर डिमांडिंग। रादर देन हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ होने के, आप यहाँ पे रिप्लेस हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ विथ पार्टी और स्पाउस, so that homosexuals can also get married under Special Marriage Act. Right now, in the current form, when it does not allow homosexual to get married, they argued, the homosexuals argued, that it is violating Article 14, Article 15, Article 19, Article 21 and Article 25 of the Constitution. Why Article 14? Article 14 says equality before law and equal protection of laws. अब एक सिटीजन की शादी आप रिकॉग्नाइज कर रहे हो, दूसरे सिटीजन की शादी आप रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं कर रहे हो अंडर दैट लॉ, तो is Article 14 getting violated? They said yes, it's getting violated. And thus, Special Marriage Act, what Supreme Court do? Supreme Court should either declare Special Marriage Act as unconstitutional or should interpret it in such a manner that it is also recognizing marriage of homosexuals. This is what they were demanding. क्या हुआ राहुल? कुछ नहीं, नाराज तो नहीं हो? Okay. They also argued that marriage brings with it what homosexuals are saying, with marriage they will get various rights, privileges and obligations that are bestowed and protected by law. Law would give them various privileges, like जैसे in future when the two partners want to get separated, Special Marriage Act या Hindu Marriage Act या बाकी personal laws में there are various protections available. But right now when the two homosexual couples are living together and in future they want to get separated, in that case one partner who may have sacrificed everything for this relationship, for this partnership, may not get anything. आप हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट के अंदर जाएंगे या स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट के अंदर जाएंगे, लेट्स से टुमारो आई गेट मैरिड टू अ पर्सन एंड मैं उसके लिए मैं इन ऑर्डर टू मेंटेन द फैमिली मैं अपनी जॉब वॉब छोड़ के घर बैठता हूं और मैं हाउस हस्बैंड बन जाता हूं. In that case, when we are getting separated, I have sacrificed my career and everything, I'll be compensated. But this would not happen in case of homosexual, because उनकी तो शादी recognize ही नहीं है. So they were saying कि we'll get various other privileges also, various other protections also if our marriage gets recognized. Delhi Commission for Protection of Child Rights supported this. It filed an intervention application to assist the court on impact of such marriages on children, and they were supporting this. But who was opposing it? The other side which was opposing it was central government, National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights, and a body of Islamic scholars called the Jamiyat Ulama-e-Hind. These were the groups which were opposing it. The more conservative groups which wanted that अपने society का जो normal structure है that should not get affected. Marriage can happen only between a male and female. ये female और female के बीच में marriage या male और male के बीच में marriage is not recognized by the society, is not recognized by the religion, and should not be allowed. They were the parties which were opposing it. So now, let's first come to understanding the arguments in detail. Why or what are the arguments which support that homosexuals should be given the right to marry? Okay, first there are some doubts, online doubts. Let me take these doubts. Will the current affairs of previous months be covered? Yes. As I said, if you'll watch the whole lecture, if you'll watch the lectures from the beginning, in the first 15 minutes I've told you anything that is relevant for your examination, be it 3 months old, be it 3 years old, would be covered. मेरी जिम्मेदारी है. And I'm assuring you this, your complaint would be not कि कुछ cover नहीं हुआ, your complaint would be सर बहुत सारा हो गया है, कैसे पढ़ूं मैं. Students, मेरे बच्चे मेरे पास ये complaint लेके आते हैं. ठीक है, तो your complaint would be that. Please start daily answer. चलिए दूसरी चीजें हैं. How to access lectures of current affairs from June? बेटा आप जून बैच में एडमिशन ले लीजिए, उसमें ये क्लासेस तो चलती रहेंगी, नवंबर पार्ट 1, नवंबर पार्ट 2 एंड सो ऑन, एंड आपको जून बैच का भी एक्सेस मिल जाएगा. फी वगैरह सब सेम है, कोई अंतर नहीं है. सर, कैन हाइब्रिड जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड ऑर्गेनिजम्स term used interchangeably? No, hybrid and genetically modified organisms may be different, है ना? I'll explain you that. Do we need to study monthly magazines? बिल्कुल नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. You do not need to study any other magazine. बस जो पढ़ा रहे हैं वो पढ़ लो. मैं आपको ये श्योर करता हूँ, आपके अगर हिस्ट्री, ज्योग्राफी, पॉलिटी, इकोनॉमी के फंडामेंटल्स क्लियर हैं और जो क्लास में पढ़ाया गया है वो आते हैं, उससे आपका एग्जाम क्लियर हो जाएगा। एंड इट्स माई रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू गो थ्रू ऑल अदर मैगजीन्स, ऑल अदर मटीरियल। मैं जाऊंगा, मैं मार्केट में जाके सारा मटेरियल लेके रखूंगा एंड आई विल गो थ्रू देम टू इंश्योर दैट उसमें से कुछ नहीं छूट रहा है। ये सिरदर्दी आपकी नहीं है। आई विल गो थ्रू नॉट ओनली दीज मंथली मैगजीन्स बट डाउन टू अर्थ एंड योजना एंड कुरुक्षेत्र एंड एवरीथिंग टू इंश्योर कि आपके पास सब कुछ है। आपको जो मटेरियल मिल रहा है ना, आप वो इंश्योर करो कि उसमें जो है वो सब आता है आपको, ठीक है। सर नवंबर बैच या जून बैच के टेस्ट सेम चलेंगे, अलग होंगे? बिल्कुल अलग होंगे। जून बैच के तो टेस्ट होते रहे ना बहुत टाइम से, तो दोनों के टेस्ट अलग होंगे। नवंबर बैच विल हैव अ डिफरेंट सिलेबस, क्योंकि जून बैच के टेस्ट वहां से चल रहे तो उनका स्टैटिक का बहुत सारा सेक्शन कवर्ड है। इन केस ऑफ नवंबर बैच विल हैव टू चेंज दैट। जून बैच, जून से करंट अफेयर्स उनके टेस्ट में आ रहा है, तो उनका जो रिवीजन टेस्ट होगा, 3 मंथली रिवीजन टेस्ट या 6 मंथली रिवीजन टेस्ट, विल हैव ऑल द बुकलेट्स दैट दे हैव कवर्ड फ्रॉम जून। नवंबर बैच के केस में वो नहीं होगा ना। November batch का booklet would start from November part 1, November part 2, November part 3 and so on, and whatever we will take in extra classes and so on. You do not have June booklets and so on. Okay, now so first let me solve his doubt. Sir, what is the difference between hybrid and genetically modified? देखो hybrid के केस में ना क्या करते हैं कि दो different species are overlapped in a way and जैसे कई बार आप क्या करोगे, यू विल हैव वन फ्रूट, उसके ऊपर दूसरे फ्रूट को लगा के एक हाइब्रिड फ्रूट डेवलप करोगे। नाउ इन दिस केस यू हैव नॉट एग्जैक्टली आइडेंटिफाइड विच जीन यू आर एडिंग इन दिस फ्रूट, whereas when you are doing genetic modification you are exactly identifying मेरे को cry1ac जीन निकालना है बीटी से और उसे कॉटन में डालना है। आर वी अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस? तो हाइब्रिडाइजेशन जैसे मैकेनिज्म्स हैज बीन यूज्ड फॉर हंड्रेड्स ऑफ इयर्स। जेनेटिक मॉडिफिकेशन हैज स्टार्टेड हैपनिंग इन द लास्ट फ्यू डेकेड्स। ओके, अगेन हाइब्रिडाइजेशन में कई बार ना आपको जो फीचर्स नहीं चाहिए वो भी आते हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट्स से एक यूरोपियन काउ है, एक यूरोपियन काउ स्पीसी है, एक इंडियन काउ स्पीसी है। Now, European cow species have an advantage. They produce more milk. Indian cow species have other advantage. They can survive very effectively in the difficult weather conditions that we have. So, we cannot just bring European cow species in India and start producing milk because they will not be able to survive in Indian conditions. So, what we make happen is we try to make them mate together, or we try to develop hybrid. उस हाइब्रिड में ये भी हो सकता है कि इससे कौन सा फीचर आ जाए कि इट इज नॉट एबल टू सर्वाइव इन इंडियन कंडीशन, और इससे कौन सा फीचर आ जाए इट इज प्रोड्यूसिंग लेस मिल्क। दैट इज समथिंग दैट वी विल रिजेक्ट। तो हाइब्रिडाइजेशन में हम बहुत सारे फीचर्स डेवलप करते हैं या बहुत सारे सब स्पीसीज या बहुत सारे न्यू हाइब्रिड्स डेवलप करेंगे, उसमें से एक हाइब्रिड हमारे लिए यूजफुल होगा। बहुत सारे नॉन यूजफुल चीजें भी प्रोड्यूस होती हैं। But when we are going for genetic modification, we are choosing exactly which gene do we want. In this way, genetic modification and hybridization are different. I hope I have answered your question, Anirudh Kulkarni ji. Okay, let's come back. Let us come back to homosexuality. कि why civil society organizations, human rights organizations were demanding कि homosexuals को right to marry, उनका right to marry recognize होना चाहिए, legally recognize होना चाहिए। One, protecting the fundamental rights of every citizen. Fundamental rights would tell you कि भाई there is equality before law and equal protection of law. अब एक लॉ है जो मुझे इक्वली ट्रीट नहीं कर रहा है, जो मेरे मैरिज को रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं कर रहा है, then it's violating right to equality. Right, for that reason, similarly, your right to choose your partner is part of your freedom of expression. And यहाँ पे when you are choosing this partner, a number of restrictions are being imposed on you. कैसा restriction? आपकी मैरिज को रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं कर रहे, वो एक restriction ही है ना? As part of your right to life, you have right to privacy also. right to live with dignity also. And without your marriage getting recognized and other couples' marriage is getting recognized, your marriage is not getting recognized, you are not able to get the same dignity in the society which others are able to get. And thus, activists said ये सारे जो fundamental rights है ना ये violate हो रहे हैं. And especially after the Puttaswamy verdict and नवतेज सिंह जौहर judgment, जब हमने homosexuality को decriminalize कर दिया है, Puttaswamy judgment में जब right to privacy is a fundamental right, after that not recognizing the homosexuals' right to get married is infeasible. That was one ground on which they demanded कि नहीं, homosexuals का right to get married should be recognized. Then ensuring other benefits of marriage to homosexuals. जब मैं किसी से शादी करता हूं तो बहुत सारे बेनिफिट्स आएंगे. एक तो मैंने आपको बताया सेपरेशन के टाइम जो प्रोटेक्शन रहेगा वो रहेगा, बट इसके अलावा भी when I'm not in a condition to take a call for my health decisions, it is my partner, my spouse who will be able to do that. Homosexuals के केस में वो spouse, वो partners हैं, but still they are not able to do it. As a couple, I can go with my wife and adopt a child. Homosexuals are not allowed to do that. उनको बच्चा as single adopt करना पड़ता है rather than as couple, because Indian adoption laws are not recognizing them. So there are lots of other issues, other challenges, issues related to inheritance, maintenance. अगर मैं एक women से married हूं and tomorrow something wrong happens to me, I pass away, then मेरी property के ऊपर my wife would have say, my wife would have right. Suppose I'm married to a gay person, homosexual है, हमारा relationship भी वैसा ही था जैसा एक husband और wife का relationship था, but he doesn't get any right over my property, my inheritance, etc. तो ये सारे rights भी देने के लिए, ये सारे protections भी देने के लिए, it's important that their right to marriage, they should have, or their marriage should be legally recognized. Their marriage should be legally recognized. Then there were other aspects. There have been various, after Navtej Singh Johar judgment, after Puttaswamy judgment, there have been various high court judgments which have protected homosexual couples, which have allowed them to live together, which has made police to take care of them, इनको कोई परेशान ना करे. अब जब आप साथ में रहने का परमिशन दे रहे हो तो साथ में रहते टाइम कुछ प्रोटेक्शंस होने चाहिए, वो प्रोटेक्शंस भी अवेलेबल होने चाहिए, and that would come if they are legally recognized, if this relationship is legally recognized. Then legal recognition of same-sex marriage will also contribute to society's acceptance towards homosexuality. If suppose Supreme Court judgment ये आता कि homosexuals can get married, and then we would have seen in news एक लेस्बियन कपल शादी कर रही है मंदिर में जाके और रजिस्टर कर रही है अपने आप को, एक गे कपल शादी कर रहा है मंदिर में जाके या मस्जिद में जाके या जहां भी कर रहा हो, जो भी कपल होगा, और या फिर वो बस रजिस्टर कर रहा है और न्यूज ये आ रही होती, आर बायसेस कि नहीं ये तो इज अननेचुरल. जो लोग बायस्ड हैं उनका बायस अभी भी रहता बट थोड़ा रिड्यूस होता, सोसाइटी में इसका एक्सेप्टेंस थोड़ा बढ़ता. किसका एक्सेप्टेंस? दैट होमोसेक्सुअल्स और homosexual couple could be there. Legal recognition would have done it, but the current judgment which has not allowed, which has not given legal recognition to the marriage of homosexuals, in a way has done the opposite. Now the conservative group can come and say, देखो तुम्हें तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी अलाउ नहीं किया, तुम लोगों का रिलेशनशिप इतना नेचुरल नहीं है. Though Supreme Court has not said this, Supreme Court has given various arguments supporting homosexuality, given guidelines for protection of homosexuals or homosexual couples, but the main verdict was कि right to marry is not a fundamental right, and thus उनके मैरिज का रिकॉग्निशन हम नहीं कर सकते, लेजिस्लेचर करेगा. यहाँ तो गवर्नमेंट ही उसे अपोज कर रही थी. गवर्नमेंट वाज वन ऑफ द पिटिशनर्स opposing it, expecting that government will get a bill passed in the legislature. Chances of that happening would be lesser. And this society, यहाँ पे क्या होता है, if the Supreme Court would have recognized or would have given legal recognition to homosexual marriages, then social acceptance of homosexuality would have been slightly higher, if not, it would not have been a magical wand magic wand which would have changed everyone's perception, but it would have been higher. Then a recent study was published, the anticipated impact of LGBTQIA plus marriage equality legislation on Indian society and mental health, which said that it would have a positive impact on mental health of LGBTQ community. अगर उनको उनकी शादी को लीगल रिकॉग्निशन मिलता है तो उनका मेंटल हेल्थ सिचुएशन अच्छा होगा. एंड फाइनली there are around 30 countries in the world which have recognized what? Same-sex marriage, which has given legal recognition to same-sex marriage. And किसी भी country में जो heterosexual marriage है उसकी sanctity in no way has come down. There is this argument which comes कि अगर हम ये सारी शादियां रिकॉग्नाइज करने लगेंगे तो सोसाइटी में नॉर्मल शादियों का रिकॉग्निशन कम हो जाएगा, वैल्यू कम हो जाएगा, या उसका पर्पस कम हो जाएगा. नो, दीज आर ऑल सिली आर्गुमेंट्स बाय पीपल हु डू नॉट अंडरस्टैंड दैट होमोसेक्सुअल पीपल आर डिफरेंट, हेटेरोसेक्सुअल पीपल आर डिफरेंट. कोई हेटेरोसेक्सुअल चाहे कुछ भी कर लो होमोसेक्सुअल नहीं बन जाएगा, और कोई होमोसेक्सुअल चाहे कुछ भी कर लो हेटेरोसेक्सुअल नहीं बन जाएगा. तो examples from other countries also show that society का structure, society के principles, nothing has changed because of legal recognition of marriage of homosexual people. Okay, but there were arguments opposing same-sex marriage also. So the people who oppose it say that it's an homosexual marriage is an affront to Indian custom and is an urban elitist concept. अब ये आर्गुमेंट देते हैं, अब इनको क्या बोले. Second, the government also argued that if Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage, it will mean a virtual judicial rewriting of an entire branch of law. Now, this was an important criticism. They are not saying कि government is not saying in this argument. Government is not saying that homosexual marriage is wrong. It is just saying that homosexual marriage को legal recognition देना is the responsibility of legislature, and if judiciary does that, then it would be interference. Some don't consider it as normal because they can't replicate babies. This was another criticism. This marriage is not acceptable, is not normal, because one of the purpose of marriage is to procreate, and homosexual marriages will not be able to procreate. These were the arguments opposing homosexual or giving legal recognition to homosexual marriages. What did Supreme Court say? So Supreme Court in Supriya Chakrabarti and Abhay Dang versus Union of India judgment in October 2023. What are the key things said by Supreme Court? हमारे लिए ये important part है. What has Supreme Court said? And analyzing that, what is good thing about it? What are some of the challenges, some of the limitations, some of the criticisms of the Supreme Court verdict? तो देखो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने ना एक मेजॉरिटी वर्डिक्ट दिया है. मेजॉरिटी वर्डिक्ट मतलब 5 जजेस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बेंच था, 3 जजेस ने एक तरह का जजमेंट दिया है, दूसरे 2 जजेस ने एक तरह का जजमेंट दिया है. बट ऑल ऑफ देम have declined to legalize same-sex marriage, leaving it on the parliament to legislate on the subject. All 5 of the judges have said that. In fact, all 5 judges agreed that there is no fundamental right to marry under the Indian constitution. Right to marry is not a fundamental right. So forget about homosexuals, even for heterosexuals, right to marry is not a fundamental right. तो अब किसी की तुम्हारी शादी नहीं हो रही, अब कोर्ट में नहीं चले जाओगे, सर माय फंडामेंटल राइट इज गेटिंग वायलेटेड. Right to marry is not a fundamental right. All the 5 judges have agreed to this. Okay, but फिर इनके judgment में what is the difference? What is the majority judgment and what is the minority judgment? Let us understand that. Key highlights of the majority judgment. This is the judgment that is acceptable, that is going to be in force. What do they say? They say that there is no fundamental right to marry in the constitution and the court can't intervene. जैसे राइट आपका फंडामेंटल राइट वायलेट हो ही नहीं रहा. इफ देयर इज नो फंडामेंटल राइट टू गेट मैरिड, देन आपके मैरिज को लीगल रिकॉग्निशन नहीं मिल रहा, इससे आपका फंडामेंटल राइट वायलेट नहीं हो रहा, एंड दस वी विल नॉट बी इंटरफेयरिंग. We will not be intervening. It said that an institution can't be elevated to realm of fundamental right just because the content that has been accorded to it by the law. Marriage is a legal right. Marriage has been given legal recognition. It's not a fundamental right. So we cannot raise it to the pedestal of fundamental right just because it is backed by a law. And because it's not a fundamental right, we will not be intervening here. Second, legal recognition of right to a civil union akin to marriage or civil union can only be through enacted law. Now this is an important aspect. In countries like US, वहाँ पे होमोसेक्सुअल्स का मैरिज बाद में रिकॉग्नाइज हुआ था, मतलब उनको सेम राइट्स एज हेट्रोसेक्सुअल मैरिज, सेम लीगल रिकॉग्निशन एज हेट्रोसेक्सुअल मैरिज बाद में दिया गया था. पहले क्या किया गया, वहां पे एक सिविल यूनियन वाज रिकॉग्नाइज्ड. व्हाट इज सिविल यूनियन? सिविल यूनियन इज मी विद माय पार्टनर, लेट्स से हम दोनों होमोसेक्सुअल्स हैं, वी आर लिविंग टुगेदर, तो देयर इज, it is not seen as a marriage because marriage has some religious sanctity and everything, but it is seen as a civil union and where some conditions are put in place. Inheritance related condition, medical emergency related condition. तो जो rights चाहिए वो मिल जाते हैं without recognizing it as marriage. So in US this had happened. So it was argued here, can something like that happen? Supreme Court in majority verdict said, होगा पर वो legislature करेगा, that's not our work. What did Supreme Court in its majority verdict said? It said that it will be done by legislature, it's not our responsibility. Legal recognition of the right to a civil union akin to marriage or civil union can only be through enacted law, can only be by a law of parliament, not by the Supreme Court. Why? Because it's not a fundamental right. आपका जब फंडामेंटल राइट वायलेट नहीं हो रहा तो हम इंटरफेयर नहीं कर रहे हैं वहां पे. Courts can't enjoin or direct the creation of a legal or regulatory framework resulting in the conferment of legal status on same-sex couples, nor the same-sex couple be granted right to adopt. जैसे अगर वो सिविल यूनियन रिकॉग्नाइज होता तो उसमें राइट टू अडॉप्शन इस तरह की चीजें भी आ सकती थी, बट anything like that cannot be given by court, it will be given by law. So please note, court has not said that इनको legal recognition नहीं मिलना चाहिए. Court has just said it's not our work, it's not our domain. We would have protected your fundamental rights, but we have said right to marry is not a fundamental right. तो आप शादी नहीं कर पा रहे हो, उसका प्रोटेक्शन मैं नहीं कर रहा हूं. नहीं, लीगल राइट अगर वो फंडामेंटल राइट्स को वायलेट कर रहा है, नहीं क्यों जाओगे? अरे लीगल राइट वायलेट, आपको लॉ में वो राइट मिला ही नहीं है तो वायलेट कैसे हो रहा है ना? हाँ, बट वो पार्लियामेंट का डोमेन है ना. पार्लियामेंट के लॉ नहीं बनाने से आपका फंडामेंटल राइट वायलेट हो रहा है क्या? यहां पे नहीं हो रहा है, तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट वुड नॉट इंटरवीन. कल आप पार्लियामेंट के पास जाके बोलो लॉ बनाओ कि सब रोड पे चप्पल पहन के चलेंगे, है ना? पार्लियामेंट नहीं बना रहा है, आप सुप्रीम कोर्ट चले जाओ, सुप्रीम कोर्ट बोलेगा लॉ बनाओ, नहीं ना. इफ योर फंडामेंटल राइट इज नॉट गेटिंग वायलेटेड, सुप्रीम कोर्ट वुड नॉट इंटरफेयर. Are we getting this? Okay. So this is the argument given by Supreme Court. Then, एक मिनट, the court cannot read words into the provisions of SMA, Special Marriage Act. So basically, what was being demanded is either you read down SMA. Read down SMA मतलब you declare some portion of it as unconstitutional, or you read words into provisions of SMA. That is, you interpret Special Marriage Act in a manner where homosexuals are also given, or homosexual marriages are also given recognition under it. But Supreme Court again said, we cannot do that. We cannot read words into the provisions of SMA and provisions of other allied laws such as Indian Succession Act or Hindu Succession Act, because that would amount to judicial legislation and thus judicial interference in the legislative matter. Further they said, if you go through the provisions and objectives of SMA, जब स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट बन रहा था, and if you go through its objective, nowhere are they talking about homosexual marriage. दे टॉकिंग अबाउट इंटर रिलीजन इंटर कास्ट मैरिजेस एंड ऑल, पर वो होमोसेक्सुअल मैरिज की बात कर ही नहीं रहे हैं, तो वाई शुड बी इंटरप्रेटेड इन अ मैनर in which homosexuals would be, that was not the intention of lawmakers. If it was the intention of lawmakers and that law is not getting effectively implemented, then we could have interpreted it, but it was not the intention of lawmakers. So here the lawmakers will have to specifically come and if they bring this provision and फिर वो implement नहीं हो पा रहा तो will come and interfere, but otherwise we are not interfering. The court in the exercise of power of judicial review must steer clear of matters, particularly those impinging on policy which fall in the legislative domain. तो legislative domain वाली चीजों से कोर्ट को अपने आप को अवॉइड करना चाहिए. And finally, court also said that despite the above judgment, where the court said that we will not be interfering in the legislative process. It is the responsibility of legislature whether वो SMA को बदले या homosexuals के marriage को legal recognition दे. The court gave separate directions to form a high-level committee under the chairperson of cabinet secretary to help ameliorate the manifold difficulties including discrimination experienced by same-sex people. तो same-sex people जो discrimination society में face कर रहे हैं उसको कम करने के लिए, सजेशंस देने के लिए, रिकमेंडेशंस देने के लिए एक कमेटी बनाने का रिकमेंडेशन कोर्ट ने दिया है, बट द कोर्ट हैज नॉट गिवन लीगल रिकॉग्निशन टू सेम सेक्स. Now, please understand, you may have some argument criticizing this. I will come to those arguments. Abhi we are trying to give what Supreme Court has said in its majority verdict. In minority verdict, like Chief Justice of India minority verdict में थे. बहुत कम ऐसा होता है जब Chief Justice of India is in the bench and Chief Justice of India is part of minority verdict. But Chief Justice of India Chandrachud on many occasions has been part of this minority verdict. Abhi, what are they saying? The minority opinion of CJI DY Chandrachud and Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul said that LGBTQIA community had a fundamental right to form relationship and that the state was obligated to recognize and grant legal status to such unions so that the same-sex couple could avail the material benefit providing under the law and also could adopt kids. They also declined to read down the provisions of SMA to that effect. But they said कि government को कुछ civil union जैसी चीज या फिर so that they can adopt children and they can have some legal protection, that kind of thing should be there. Which in the majority verdict has been rejected. In majority verdict they have said that even that is responsibility of legislature. We won't do it. In minority verdict they have agreed to that aspect. In minority verdict also they have not said that right to marriage is a fundamental right. Please note, right to marriage is not a fundamental right. It has been agreed upon by all the 5 judges. But in the majority verdict they say that civil union जैसी चीज भी we are not doing it. Who will do it? Legislature. But here they say that नहीं, उस तरह की चीज होनी चाहिए जहां पे they should have an option of adopting kid and everything. That should be there. So they have said this in minority verdict. Not relevant. Minority verdict is not something that is going to get implemented. Are we understanding this? So what is the Supreme Court verdict? What is the verdict? We'll analyze it. We'll come to its analysis. But what is the verdict? Are we clear about it? I've just written 4-5 points, 4-5 most relevant points, because in examination if a question related to verdict gets asked, you will not be able to write more than 4-5 points. Please understand this. And in preliminary examination they will not go into so much depth कि वो आपको 4-5 most important points के beyond कुछ पूछेंगे. So for your preparation, if you want to read the entire verdict, go and read the Supreme Court judgment. या live law पे पूरा detailed analysis दिया हुआ. I've read that. I've read the entire thing. But the point is, for your exam, you just need the 4-5 core points, and I've included only that part in your notes. What did Supreme Court say? What is the good thing about it? एक अच्छी चीज दिख रही है इसमें. अच्छी चीज ये है, Supreme Court not interfering in legislative matter. Separation of power को respect कर रहे हैं. Judicial restraint, है ना? And that is a kind of respecting constitutional morality. What is constitutional morality? Respecting constitutional values. राइट. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैल्यू, तो सेपरेशन ऑफ पावर इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द कोर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैल्यू. ओके, तो द वर्डिक्ट रिस्पेक्ट्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी, दैट्स एन इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट. देन इसी का फर्दर एस्पेक्ट है, टू बेस्टो लीगल रिकॉग्निशन टू होमोसेक्सुअल मैरिज वुड नीड amendment to several law which is the domain of people's elected representative, not a few selected jurists. And this was the argument given by government also when government was opposing right to marriage or giving legal recognition to homosexuals marriage in the Supreme Court. It had given this argument ki bhai, it is the domain of legislature, and if Supreme Court gives this verdict, then a whole branch of legislature will get changed just because of that verdict. क्योंकि सिर्फ एक लॉ नहीं होगा, बहुत सारे लॉज होंगे मेंटेनेंस के लिए, सक्सेशन के लिए, एंड सो ऑन. All of that will have to be modified, and Supreme Court should not be doing that. It should be with the legislature. But then the criticisms are also there. You were asking some question. हो गया यार? आर्टिकल 19 आपको राइट टू चॉइस दे रहा है ना, फ्रीडम ऑफ चॉइस है ना वहां पे. तो फ्री स्पीच, एक्सप्रेशन, उसी में आप चूज भी कर सकते हो अपने पार्टनर को. आपके फ्री स्पीच का ही पार्ट है कि आपका पार्टनर कौन होगा, है ना. योर फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन का ही पार्ट है आपका पार्टनर कौन है, या फिर आप होमोसेक्सुअल हो या हेट्रोसेक्सुअल हो. दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ योर फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन. नाउ अगर हम होमोसेक्सुअल को चूज कर रहे हैं और उसको इक्वल रिकॉग्निशन नहीं दे रहे हैं जैसे हेट्रोसेक्सुअल कपल्स को मिल रहा है, तो मेरा ये वाला राइट भी वायलेट हो रहा है. मेरे फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन को आप हिंडर कर रहे हैं. देखो 21 में भी है, 19 में भी है. हाँ देखो, राइट टू प्राइवेसी प्राइमरली 21 में, बट जब राइट टू प्राइवेसी को फंडामेंटल राइट डिक्लेयर किया गया था तो 19 को भी रेफर किया गया था, है ना. क्यों? समझो इसे. मैं प्राइवेट स्फेयर में क्या कर रहा हूं, मेरा प्राइवेट वो है, पर उसमें अगर कोई देख रहा है, कोई इंटरफेयर कर रहा है, तो आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू एक्सप्रेस माई सेल्फ फुली. फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन भी वायलेट हो गया, राइट टू फ्री स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन भी वायलेट हो गया. तो राइट टू प्राइवेसी दो प्राइमरली इट्स प्रोटेक्टेड अंडर आर्टिकल 21, बट अगर आपको राइट टू प्राइवेसी नहीं मिल रहा है, आपका आर्टिकल 19 भी वायलेट हो रहा है. ऐसे ही यू हैव द राइट टू चूज योर पार्टनर, मतलब वो भी आपको चूज करे. राइट टू चूज नहीं, आप जाके बस आई हैव द राइट टू चूज यू, ऐसे नहीं करना है. क्या नाम है आपका? हरिमोहन. तो हरिमोहन ऐसा नहीं करना है. सर ने बोला आई हैव द राइट टू चूज माय पार्टनर, गए मम्मी पापा के पास, वो वाली लड़की, बचपन से मैंने उसे चूज कर लिया है, या वो वाला लड़का, डिपेंडिंग ऑन व्हाट हरिमोहन वांट्स. अरे हंसने की बात नहीं है, हरिमोहन के हमें क्या पता वो फिर हंस रहे हो. देखो हंसना नहीं है, समझो होमोसेक्सुअल होना इज बिल्कुल नॉर्मल. सुप्रीम कोर्ट वर्डिक्ट ने भी यही बोला है, हमें भी यही इस तरह से बिहेव करना है. द मोमेंट वी स्टार्ट लाफिंग वी फील कि हमने उसके ऊपर मजाक कर दिया है, उसको कुछ छोटा इंफीरियर बना दिया है ना. ये नहीं करना है. तभी देखो राइट टू मैरिज नहीं दिया गया है उन्हें, लाइक लीगल रिकॉग्निशन वाला एस्पेक्ट नहीं दिया, बट होमोसेक्सुअलिटी को तो डीक्रिमिनलाइज किया गया है ना. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अपनी वर्डिक्ट में कहा है कि इट्स नेचुरल, तो हंसना नहीं है. फाइन, समझो इस बात को. हाउ वी एंड अप promoting stereotypes by doing these small things. छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं जिससे हम रिलीजन के बेसिस पे, रीजन के बेसिस पे, कास्ट के बेसिस पे, सेक्सुअल ओरिएंटेशन के बेसिस पे लोगों के अगेंस्ट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन कर जाते हैं. किसी के ऊपर सेक्सिस्ट कमेंट जाता है और हम हंस देते हैं. हम बोलते हैं हमने थोड़ी किया, वो गंदा आदमी है. But when you are enjoying that and you are kind of accepting that, you may argue कि हम accept नहीं कर रहे, but you are accepting that, तो हमारा contribution भी वहां चला जाता है ना. तो मेरा assumption कि this person is heterosexual would also have been wrong, depending on whatever उनकी requirements हैं. हाँ, coming back to did I answer your question, हरिमोहन? Okay. So let's come back to now the criticisms. कि आपने बहुत सारे आर्टिकल्स पढ़े होंगे जहां पे constitutional legal experts have criticized this judgment, have said that Supreme Court did not do the right thing here. It did not go far ahead. पहला जो मेजर क्रिटिसिज्म आ रहा है वो ये है कि यार वी हैव साइंड और इंडिया इज अ signatory of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And Article 16 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights provides that men and women of full age, without any limitation due to race, nationality or religion, have the right to marry and to form a family. So since right to marry is a human right, it should also be recognized as a fundamental right. Human rights, fundamental rights, constitutional rights. ये ऑर्डर होता है. जनरली हमारे फंडामेंटल राइट्स में सारे ह्यूमन राइट्स रहते हैं. एंड इन द पास्ट ऑल्सो टू इंटरप्रेट फंडामेंटल राइट्स सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज रेफर्ड टू यूनियन डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स और जब यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स और जब यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स में राइट टू मैरी को एक ह्यूमन राइट रिकॉग्नाइज किया गया है तो इट शुड बी रिकॉग्नाइज्ड एज अ फंडामेंटल राइट ऑल्सो. सुप्रीम कोर्ट इन द पास्ट हैव रिलाइड ऑन यूडीएचआर to interpret provisions of fundamental rights in India. जैसे जब हमने we brought in the principle of natural justice in the Menaka Gandhi case, we were referring to Union Declaration of Human Rights only. So saying कि right to marry is not a fundamental right, right to make a family is not a fundamental right. Fundamental right नहीं है तब तो आप उसे बोल दोगे it's not even a human right. अगर human right है तो humans को right मिलना चाहिए ना. This is one major criticism of this judgment. Are we getting this? Are we understanding this? Are we all understanding this? Second, the Constitution has given task of defending the fundamental rights of all citizens to Supreme Court. And Supreme Court in the past has struck laws which were violating fundamental rights. If a law is providing legal protection to some citizens and not covering other citizens, it is definitely violating Article 14 of the Constitution. Article 14, equality before law, equal protection of the law. And if the law is giving, हाँ तो उस टाइम आर्ग्यू नहीं करना है ना उस पर. पहले हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट वर्डिक्ट समझ रहे हैं. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अपने वर्डिक्ट में बोला है कि ये हमारा सब्जेक्ट ही नहीं है. वी विल नॉट इंटरफेयर दैट, बट इन द पास्ट इट हैज डन इट. द जजमेंट विल प्रोलॉन्ग, तो बिकॉज ऑफ दिस जजमेंट द स्ट्रगल्स ऑफ होमोसेक्सुअल पीपल विल गेट प्रोलॉन्ग्ड फर्दर. दे विल इवेंचुअली, लाइक ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, as we are recognizing homosexuals, as we are recognizing that homosexuality is natural, we are moving towards giving them, जितना जैसे मेडिकल साइंस डेवलप हो रहा है, this understanding is coming कि homosexuality is not something unnatural, homosexuality is not a mental disorder, homosexuality is not a disease. As it gets accepted more and more in the society, we will move towards what? We will move towards giving legal recognition to that marriage also. But this verdict has delayed that. जिसे हमने, we have not been able to eradicate untouchability even till today. Eradicate untouchability अभी भी country में चल रहा है, but law eradicating it came way back. So the bias against homosexuals could have continued in the society, but still it was responsibility of the Supreme Court to ensure that उन्हें legal right, legally तो वो ना हो रहा हो. And this judgment has kind of allowed that legal discrimination. This is a legal discrimination. Law में एक शादी रिकॉग्नाइज कर ली, पर ये कपल्स हैं, ये रिकॉग्नाइज्ड है. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने आईपीसी के सेक्शन 377 को ऐसे इंटरप्रेट किया कि होमोसेक्सुअलिटी इज नॉट अ क्राइम. तो ये कपल है, ये रिकॉग्नाइज्ड है, इट इज अलाउड. These two people can live together. Courts have protected it. Courts have gone against the family, courts have gone against the society. But इनको legal recognition नहीं मिल रहा है. Then यहां पे एक और जो क्रिटिसिज्म आ रहा है कि सोशल मोरालिटी और मेजोरिटेरियन मोरालिटी हैज बीन गिवन मोर इंपॉर्टेंस देन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी. इन द पास्ट, जैसे in Navtej Singh Johar judgment only, Justice Chandrachud had said the court has to be guided by conception of constitutional morality and not by the societal morality. What is societal morality? The value system which is coming from society, which is coming from majority. That is majoritarian morality. What is constitutional morality? The values which are coming from the constitution. Right to equality, equality for everyone is a value which is coming from constitution. And thus, even if society does not accept homosexuality, Supreme Court decriminalized homosexuality because it gave more importance to constitutional morality over social morality. But here what has happened? Kind of majoritarian morality or societal morality has been given more importance because you have left it on the legislature, and legislature will be working as per the social pressure, political pressure and majoritarian pressure. क्योंकि आपने पिछली बार लेजिस्लेचर पे नहीं छोड़ा कि होमोसेक्सुअल्स को in कौशल जजमेंट सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैड लेफ्ट इट ऑन द लेजिस्लेचर. जब आप होमोसेक्सुअलिटी केसेस में जाते हो, सबसे पहले नाज फाउंडेशन जजमेंट केम दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट का 2009 में, वेयर दे डिक्रिमिनलाइज होमोसेक्सुअलिटी. देन इन 2013 कौशल जजमेंट केम वेयर सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेड इट्स नॉट आवर वर्क, it is the work of legislature. But later in 2018 Supreme Court reversed the judgment and said that constitutional morality is more important than social morality. But यहाँ पे वो क्यों नहीं किया? 2013 में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यही बोला था ना कि leave it on the legislature, they will decide whether homosexuality is a criminal offense or not. But then they changed it. Here they have again left it on legislature to give legal recognition. Then it will also have negative social implication for LGBT community. Society में discrimination against them may go up if other marriage is legally recognized and their marriage is not legally recognized, and Supreme Court has said it's okay. It's not our responsibility. Legislature would decide. So bias against them or discrimination against them may go in the society. Not everyone would not be like us जो इसका एनालिसिस कर रहे होंगे कि देखो यूनिवर्सल डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स में तो इट्स अ ह्यूमन राइट. व्हाट इज अ ह्यूमन राइट? राइट टू गेट मैरिड, राइट टू फॉर्म अ फैमिली. इट्स अ ह्यूमन राइट. आप किसी को वो करने से रोक नहीं सकते हो. तो समवन इज गेटिंग मैरिड, समवन इज मेकिंग अ फैमिली. अब वो होमोसेक्सुअल में बच्चा अडॉप्ट करना चाह रहे हैं या सरोगेट करवाना चाह रहे हैं, यू कैन नॉट स्टॉप देम. किसी का फोर्सफुल सरोगेसी कर रहे हैं, यू कैन स्टॉप देम. बिकॉज इट वुड बी वायलेशन ऑफ ह्यूमन राइट्स. बट हेयर काइंड ऑफ इनडायरेक्टली दे हैव बीन स्टॉप्ड. तो व्हाट इज द वे फॉरवर्ड? Way forward, first there would be more efforts would be required by LGBT community and human rights group. यहाँ पे they would have to work on various fronts. एक important aspect होगा, one, they can appeal against the Supreme Court judgment, but more importantly they should now focus on how legislature can be made to bring these changes. And उसके लिए ना society में homosexual marriages का acceptance has to happen, and they will LGBT community, civil society organizations, human rights group will have to work towards that. More awareness, more sensitization about what? About homosexuals, homosexuality, their life, their problems. If it's amongst all of us, then there could be political pressure on government कि भाई that marriage is also equally important, उसमें protections are also equally important. Let's say I have a sister who is homosexual, let's say वो सिनेरियो है. अब वो एक homosexual relationship में गई है, उसको वो protection नहीं है जो मेरी एक sister को है जो heterosexual relationship में है. When society will recognize that कि यार our own people are getting affected because of not having this law, then there would be political pressure on government to come up with the law. So that is one aspect that we'll have to focus upon. LGBT community and human rights group will have to work on several fronts to increase the social acceptance of the same-sex marriage, which would eventually make government bring changes. Pressure on legislature may also come from the opposition or the state governments who have who had supported the legal recognition for marriage. Legislature की भाई Central government can come up with a law. Then implementing Supreme Court verdict. Supreme Court verdict, while it has denied fundamental right to get married, though it's a human right, while it has denied that, it has said कि एक committee बनेगी under the chairmanship of cabinet secretary, which will work towards ending discrimination in various aspects of life which homosexuals are facing. वो बने, उस पे आगे स्टेप्स लिए जाएं, that is important because in the past this has happened. जैसे in Navtej Singh Johar case, Supreme Court had directed the state to ensure that judgment is given wide publicity. That which judgment? Navtej Singh Johar judgment is given wide publicity through media, and government should initiate programs to reduce stigma associated with homosexuality. It's been more than 5 years, nothing like that has happened. So Supreme Court verdict past में भी ignore करे गए हैं. What is important is this time we ensure that the judgment, the committee, its recommendations get properly implemented, get effectively implemented. Okay, so there was a lot of expectation from the Supreme Court verdict. In fact, when I was teaching this topic in June, May में उन्होंने अपना verdict reserve किया था. So all the newspaper articles were talking about कि homosexual marriages would be given. There are very high chances that they would be given legal recognition. So ये Supreme Court का verdict has gone against that view, but still there are good things here. Supreme Court leaving it on legislature. So अब legislature should, if the ball is in the court of legislature, they should evaluate the need of legal recognition and work towards that. And here everyone will have to play a role. The LGBT community, the civil society organization, the human rights group, we know because it's a human right. Right to marry is a human right. They'll also have to play a role in convincing the government to come up with a law related to that. I hope we have the complete picture. Arguments why homosexual marriages should be recognized. ये जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोला है ना, वो 4-5 पॉइंट्स इसे हमेशा अपने टिप्स पे रखना. ये 5 चीजें, so that in case you have to write what is the majority verdict of the Supreme Court, you are quickly able to write 5 lines. These are the 5 dimensions of the verdict. Because analysis हम कर लेंगे, reasons वो दे देंगे कि why homosexual marriage should be recognized. Analysis में हम बता देंगे कि ये अच्छी चीजें हैं judgment की, ये खराब चीजें हैं. If you know the most important aspects of the judgment. Fine. आज यहीं रुकें. कल will continue with this booklet. I'll provide you another booklet. Sorry? मैरिज कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट में आता है क्या? हाँ, शायद आना चाहिए फिर. ठीक. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow 11 AM only, and I'll provide you another booklet. So इसके 1-2 टॉपिक बचे हैं, फिर दूसरा बुकलेट होगा, वो भी करेंगे अपन. Sumant is saying, sir, though right to marry is not a fundamental right, the concept of civic union where there is discrimination in hetero and homosexual person, should not the Supreme Court intervene in the area? अरे यही तो minority judgment में Supreme Court talked about this, but in majority judgment they did not say anything about it. They said that we'll leave it on you, we'll leave it on the legislature. चलिए, thank you very much. आर्टिकल 25 आपको रिलीजन को प्रैक्टिस करने का मौका दे रहा है ना, तो उसमें क्या है ना कि आप उस रिलीजन को प्रैक्टिस करते करते ही शादी करना चाहते हो. आप मंदिर में जाके ही शादी करना चाह रहे हो, वो नहीं रिकॉग्नाइज. आर्टिकल 25 लो ना, देखो जेंडर न्यूट्रल. आप अपना रिलीजन प्रैक्टिस करना चाहते हो ना, तेरे